record button doesn't want to record. Oh, there you go. Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lee. Welcome back to the Creative Tavern. Today is Sunday of May 22 and 2022. Right? That's right. Okay.
Yep.
And my name is Christopher Lee. I'm a concept artist working in the theme park industry. I've been there for about 10 years. Worked with companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering as well as Universal Studios Creative. Some of the projects that I got to work on is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, both in Anaheim and Florida, as well as the Buzz Lightyear Planet Rescue in Shanghai. So everything that you want to see, it's there. So, and I'm here with my good buddy Michael Welker. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Welker. I am a semi-retired creative producer from the theme park industry. I'm also a writer and now an indie game developer. Chris and I have known each other for more than a decade at this point. And recently, the past 9 months or so, maybe about 9 months ago, we said, hey, we're in between big projects. We should put our heads together and do something, do some kind of creative project. And long story short, we've been working on that for a couple months, meeting very regularly, and it eventually transformed into, hey, let's make a rail shooter video game, learn how to make it, because neither of us have ever made a video game before, and let's put it on stream.
Yeah, and
so here we are.
Yeah, and here we are. Sorry about that, guys. I was testing my video settings a little bit, but yeah, thank you, Michael.
Okay.
And do you want to just go ahead and jump in and do a
Yep.
quick recap of what we did last week, and then show them what we plan on doing this week? That we actually did for this week.
So I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect.
Making this in Unity, smoother video, 30 frames per second, 720p. I'm just going to play the game for a little bit and not talk because it also has audio, so it might be a little bit much for me to talk over it. But kind of like Chris had said before we actually started the show properly, it's a rail shooter video game that is very much in the spirit of something like Star Fox. So if you're familiar with that genre or with that series of games, this will look really familiar to you. So I'm just going to play a little bit, and after I play through a tad, I'll restart it, but maybe with the audio muted and kind of walk us through a couple of things. So here we go.
This is going to be cool. Oh, nice. Oh yeah! Oh, look at that sound. It's a trap. Take eviction actions. This looks great, Michael.
Thanks, man. Okay, so there's a little bit of a break here that I can probably talk us through before restarting. So basically, everything you're seeing here is what I created while following a Unity, like an online course to learn how to use Unity. Oh, and this is like a cool reveal here. This is our big, giant pit boss, like little mini boss character that Chris modeled. Oh, by the way, yeah, so all of the drones and things that you're seeing and the player ship that you're seeing on screen, these are all things that Chris made. These are all his art assets from Blender, imported into Unity.
And all the animation and the controlling of the airplane and the super awesome lasers, it's all Michael.
Teamwork, baby.
Baby, yeah, baby.
Okay, so then the rest of this, it's kind of just going to fly through the rest of the level here. There aren't other enemies. But basically, what you're seeing is not at all intended to be like the final game. This was just a little sandbox for me to play in order to learn how to make this game. So everything that was done here was just sort of like proof of concept and to learn, oh, okay, this is how I build the rail system. Oh, this is how I program the ship so that way it moves, to the left and the right when I press the WASD keys, but it doesn't go off screen, so I have to script in code that takes it, that prevents it from going out of bounds. You also notice too that the ship is clipping through the floor and the terrain, That's specifically because I've like unchecked the box collider for the ship, so that way, because one of the problems was in trying to show this on stream, sometimes between talking, I don't pay attention to shooting things and end up crashing into objects, and then it has to restart. So in order for you to be able to see a little bit more of the game, I'm kind of cheating by turning off the collision for the ship. But anyway, everything that you're seeing here is just a way. I'm going to go ahead and restart this for us so you can see a little bit more of the animation. This was just proof of concept and learning. Chris and I are intending to take what I've learned here and basically make one complete first level of the game. Instead of biting off an entire game with like 15 levels and having this like huge ambitious project on our hands, we're starting with what we call, or what is often known in the industry as an MVP, a minimum viable product. And the idea is to just take a little slice, like a vertical slice of the game, and say, we're not going to worry about all these other things. We're just going to make this one little piece of it, prove to ourselves, one, that we can do it, two, that it's fun, and three, create this sort of like little preview, if you will, this little snapshot of like, here's what the final game would look like if we went ahead and invested all of our time and resources into making a whole bunch more of this. This is basically what you'd be getting more of. And that gives us a nice sort of smaller bite size, like manageable bite size project that we can get to a finish line, get to a big milestone, and say like, okay, we did it. We've got this thing out. We released it to our community so they could beta test it for us and give us feedback, find bugs, that sort of thing. Now what do we want to do? Are we really excited about this? Do we want to continue and make the rest of the game? Or do we feel like, hey, that kind of accomplished what we set out to do creatively and, from a like learning perspective, but we're really excited about these other projects, and so we're going to go ahead and do those instead. That's a decision that we get to make. But you wouldn't be able to do that if the intent was like, well, we're committed, man. We got to make the whole thing. So we're going to start small and work our way up from there.
Yeah, basically make one and see if people like it. And if they do, we'll keep on going. If not, then we can explore other stuff to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is so cool. I so want what you're doing in what I am going to show today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because man, I wish. Okay. So I'll show you.
Well, yeah. What we could probably do is, because I have no idea what Chris is going to show us. This is going to be a surprise to me as much as it's going to be a surprise to you guys. But depending on what it is, we could see if I could try to import it into Unity, so that way for next week we can actually see it in action.
Maybe.
No, is that ambitious?
I don't know. After I show you, you'll let me know if it is ambitious or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want me to show with regard to this, Chris? If not, I can move to my new stuff for this week.
Yeah. Last week. So basically, this is what you did last week, and I think last week I was totally blown away by the sound effects and just like the audio feedback of everything. It's just freaking awesome. So awesome job! I can't wait to see what you did this week.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so like the last session was a pretty big one for us because up to that point I had been working through the tutorial for it, because the online course that I'm taking is basically broken up into like 7 different projects, and each project you make a game. So the first game that we make in that course, which by the way, for anybody who's curious of like what course I'm using, it's from the guys over at gamedev.tv. They're amazing. We're not sponsored in any way by those guys.
Please sponsor us.
But we wouldn't mind being sponsored, especially because I have nothing but high praise for those guys. Like, their content is so good. It's really excellent. And sometimes you can actually find their courses even cheaper on Udemy. So you can go there too.
Nice.
But The way their course is broken up is it's basically a series of projects. In each project, you make a game. The first one is like a very simple obstacle course just to get you familiar with, like, well, here's the Unity interface, and here's how the particle, or not particle, but here's how the like collision detection works, and how gravity works, and that sort of thing. Then you, from there, the next project is a small game that's like a single screen with like a little spaceship that moves from one side to the other. And then this is the third game that you get to make, where they show you how to make like a level in a rail shooter. Hence the reason Chris and I are making the rail shooter. And this was, and for the previous several weeks, I had been kind of like working my way through that tutorial and checking in with my progress. Last week was a big milestone because I finally finished that course. And so what you're seeing is basically the culmination of all of that training and work. And now we get to take everything that I've learned here and put it into our own game and make something really amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's that. Actually, before I jump away there, any questions from the chat or anything else you want me to show, Chris?
So the chat says, "I love this." Captain Blue says, "Hype." Judy says, "This is so good. Oh my God, I can see so much work has was put into it. So cool." Captain Blue says, "I love game dev site. I use it too." Yeah, thank you guys so much for your really, really, really encouraging comments. And Michael, I have no questions. Please proceed. Thank you guys.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks everybody. Okay, so I'm going to change windows. What I'm going to show now is a little bit more technical and not quite as interesting, or it could potentially be very interesting. I think it's really interesting, but it's not going to be nearly as flashy. So basically, one of the things that I wanted to do before we actually started work on the actual MVP proper was I had seen a YouTube video of somebody else who was like trying to replicate the Star Fox game engine in Unity, and they did something that was kind of interesting with the like rail system that was a little bit different than the one that I had been taught and seemed like it might be easier. So I wanted to try it before moving on. So I spent the past, since our last session, just trying to learn that system, and I think it's superior. But also has required me to spend a lot more time kind of trying to find the research pieces that I needed to like understand how it works. And I think I mostly got it. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the old system and the new system.
Cool.
So what we have on screen right now is this is basically a little a small experimental file that I've created. There's not a whole lot of assets in here. I have like, this 3D object plane with a couple of columns in here. And way over here, I've got our little player ship modeled beautifully by Chris. We've got that, and we've got our main camera. So really only have these like, 4 different things here. We've got our environment, player ship, camera, and directional light, which is, way up there in the sliding the scene. So what I would do previously is basically, in order to get the camera to follow the ship, I need to attach the ship and the camera to the same sort of game object. And what I would usually do is like create something called a rig. And I'll go ahead and reset this back to 0. And then what I would do is I'd take my player ship and stick that on the rig, and I'd take my main camera and stick that on the rig. And then you can see a little preview down here in the bottom right that's showing kind of like what the game will look like. And if I click over to the game window, you get a little bit of a bigger picture of that, which is showing the camera directly behind the butt of the ship. And then what I can do is I can move this rig object now, and when I do that, it's going to move the camera and it's going to move the player ship at the same time. So if I move both those way up here, and you can see over here, they've both moved. And then the system is basically just a matter of creating like a, what do you call it? Like a timeline object to animate this thing. Sorry. What I need to do now is get the window for the animation. No, rendering. No, general timeline. Where's my timeline? Sequencing timeline. There we go. Let's put this down here. Okay, So now if I click on the rig here, it says to begin a new timeline, create a directory, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, create this button. It's going to ask like, okay, you want to create a timeline? Yes, I'll say go ahead and create the rig timeline, put that down there. And now what I have is this timeline where I can create this animation track for the rig. So I can drag this rig down here. Should be able to.
Michael, sorry, let me
Yes.
interrupt really quickly.
Sure.
Currently, the way we are seeing your screen is that
Uh-huh.
anytime you're hovering over a different panel, it basically pops it basically pops up as that panel that you're looking at. It essentially zooms into it, and it whenever you're on various panels, it keeps like popping back and forth, pop back and forth. So is there any way without like killing what you're doing right now to set your capture on the screen instead of each individual panels?
Yes. Well, I think. Let me try that.
Yeah. Sorry guys. Yeah, because right
Change
now it's
windows.
like popping back and forth. And sorry Michael too. I just want to make
That's
sure
okay. No
we
problem.
could see it.
Uh, well, it looks like the only thing I can do is just share the whole screen. So you might, this might be a little funky. You might be seeing like the infinite mirror thing. Actually, I can't. Hang on.
Okay,
Yeah,
if
it wouldn't
it's
let me do that.
if it's a huge issue, then
Oh, here we go. Yep, I got it.
I won't it should be okay.
Okay, so there's the
Watch.
infinite mirror thing. Switch back over here. And I actually did this. Delete this. Yes, delete that. This doesn't have a thing. Is it looking fine now?
Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah, that's weird. So like when I would click under the timeline, it would like bring up the timeline full screen. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna create an empty object where I can put timeline stuff. And so I'm gonna go ahead and click this to create a timeline. And by the way, there's not going to be a quiz or anything at the end of this. You guys don't necessarily need to worry about this. I'm just doing this to show you the kind of like the old way that I was doing this, and the new way, and why I think the new way is actually cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and create an animation track here, and I'm going to drag this rig into that animator. So create animator on the rig. So now what I can do is I can click this little record button, and anytime I move that rig, it's going to create a little keyframe, and it's going to keep track of like, okay, at this point in the timeline, you want that object to be in this position. And then what I can do is duration mode. No, I want to click this. Seconds. Okay, that's good. I'm going to zoom in because I don't want this to be very long. But then what I can do is I can skip forward, like let's say I'll do 10 seconds. And then if I move the ship again, okay, well now it's going to move the ship into that position. So if I move the timeline here, you can see, oh, the ship's moving. So that's how I can add the rail. So when we hit play and it plays the game, it'll actually move the ship like that. Another thing that I can do is I can actually click into the scene, and I can move to where I want the ship to go. So like, let's say like, oh, I want the ship to kind of like fly over here in the next 5 seconds. I can click this to Control Shift F, kind of like realign that element to be right there. And so now, like if I back up and play the timeline, you can see like, oh, okay, the ship actually it's doing something kind of real funky now, but I'm glad it's doing that.
Drifting. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. And then if I move this another 5 seconds, I think, and if I go down here and come like, okay, now I want it to fly over this way in the next 5 seconds, catch up with me. And now let's back up and see what it does. Okay, so now it's turning, but those very first 2 keyframes, it's not. So that's a little funky. And then it gets up here, and then it turns and flies that way. Great. And that's basically the way that like laying out the track works. So then I would hit stop here, and then when we play the game, this is the way the ship's going to move.
Nice.
Now, if I want to make changes to this, that's where it becomes a real pain in the butt, because kind of like what we'd seen here, like, oh, I don't want the ship to drift when it starts. Like that looks real weird. If we click on the game here, having the ship fly sideways before it turns around to fly forward. Like that's real funky. In order to change that, if I click here, I can see this sort of like waveform of all these different positions in the timeline, and I can adjust these. So like if I zoom in on the ship down here, I can get the ship's position to change by adjusting the Y rotation. So I think if I click here, add key, I can now like rotate the ship manually, right? So I can move it
Uh,
like, okay,
Sorry, Michael, I apologize to interrupt again.
sure.
The screen sharing right now is from Unity is super blurry.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you mind re-sharing your screen again? Maybe that'll refresh it.
Sure.
Post stream. Yeah, you look perfect right now. Good. Nice. And you watch stream. Yeah, much
Better?
better. Yeah, much
Okay,
better.
great. Okay, so in the animator here, I can individually grab one of the curves to adjust things like, the roll of the ship, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or the angle of the ship. But it's kind of a pain to kind of like come in here and have to figure out like which one of these I need to rotate, and then I've got to like do some experimentation here to like, okay, let's see if I move that, then is it doing the thing I want it to do? Okay, that's looking kind of good. And then if I want to add more to it, well, then I've got to do kind of the same thing I did before. If I close this and I hit record again, I need to move the timeline up to the next like 5 seconds or whatever. Like if I want to do the next 10 seconds, then I can come up here
Mm-hmm.
and be like, okay, I want to move the ship in this position. But then something, that's a bit of a pain is if I go like, okay, great, that's where I want it for there. And then the very last one, I want to put it over here. And right now, if I move the ship again, it's actually going to cause a problem because you'll notice that I have not moved the timeline forward. I haven't advanced it to the next 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It should be here because if I do this right now, boom, and move that to there, it actually overwrote the
Sure.
last position,
Right.
which
Uh-huh.
is really easy to do when
And
you're
really annoying.
creating a rail this way. So I did
Yeah.
that so many times in the tutorial that I was doing that ended up being a real pain in the butt. And
Mm-hmm.
fixing that
Mm-hmm.
is really difficult and nearly impossible because I would have to like backtrack to that exact position and angle and then like make another keyframe there. It's a pain in the butt. Anyway, so that is the old system. Um, it's fine. I'm not complaining and saying that it's like awful or anything. But there is a new system that I think is better, especially because like when you're looking at this here, you can't actually see the track at all, so you don't really know until you play this to see like, oh, the ship like makes a left turn and then goes around
Yeah.
these things, and then goes over there. Um, so let's go ahead and get rid of this. I don't need the timeline anymore. I'm going to keep the rig exactly the same as it was before. It just doesn't, well, probably is going to need the animator and the timeline eventually, but for the purposes of this um, discussion, we don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
And now what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the Cinemachine system, which is basically
Oh,
this sort of
sure.
like this add-on
Right.
tool that creates this like this virtual camera system. You can think of it really as like now you've got movie set tools where you've got an actual camera that you can place and it has behavior and it can do things. And one of the really cool things that you can create, if I create an empty, I'm going to go ahead and call this like rail track. I can add the Cinemachine, Cinemachine smooth something or other. Smooth path. There we go. So if I do that, I'm going to go ahead and reset this to 0, 0, and I zoom in down here. You can see I now have what looks to be like I'm going to make this a little bit wider so it's easier to see, like a track, like a train track or like a roller coaster track.
Sorry, Michael, we can't see it because it's blurry
It's
again.
blurry.
Yeah,
Why is
sorry.
it
I don't
doing
I
that?
don't not sure what's going on. Ah, is Discord failing us? Okay, it's
Seems
back
like it.
now. It
I wonder.
it's sharp, however, it seems a little bit pixelated.
I'm gonna try something else. Hang on a second here.
Okay.
Since I don't think, since I'm not running the game, I'm just going to switch this to better text readability. So it's going to have a low frame rate, but it
Uh-huh.
should be clear. Let's try. How does it look?
Much better. Wow.
Okay. Well, so the
Yeah.
frame rate's going to be like 5 frames per second, but at least you can actually
Right.
see what the heck's going on here.
Yeah, it looks so much better. Thank you.
Sure. So I've added this Cinemachine rail. So now I've got this rail that I can actually move around.
Nice.
And it's really easy to make adjustments. So if I've got, like node 0 here is in this position, I can actually say like, I want that to like start over there, or maybe I want it to start over here, like closer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and grab node 1, and I can move that one too. And I
Mm-hmm.
can also click over here to add more nodes. So then I've got this one. And this is the really cool part. When I start to move this node, it automatically
Mm-hmm.
smooths the rail. So I've got this nice,
Nice.
yes. So then I can add
Nice.
another one. And like, okay, now I want it to go this way. And you can start getting this like snaking pattern. Like,
Yeah,
okay, well
you
now
could
I want it to
actually
start
see the
flying
rail.
up.
You could actually
Hmm.
see where you're going, because the other way you're just positioning one. Um, yes, keep going, keep going. This is great. This is awesome.
Right, yeah. This is so much better than the other way. So then I can
Wow.
like take this guy, move him over here, maybe add another one. This one's going over here. And maybe this one I want to be at the same height, actually. That way it's not continuing to climb. So now you can kind of see what the rail is doing. It's going to kind of come this way, turn, and then it's going to start climbing up. And if I add another one, maybe we get it to like wrap back around this way.
Uh-huh.
The other thing that's really cool that you can do is so like right here, oh, and I guess before I start making additional adjustments, like even if I click off that, you can still see the rail is there. It's a little hard to
Yeah.
see if I don't have it selected,
Yeah.
but if I do,
Uh,
then you can see that.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, then all I have to do is I take the rig, and I'm going to add a component here, and there's something called the Cinemachine Dolly cart. So I go ahead and click that, and then all I have to do is now it's basically saying like, okay, this object's going to act like a cart on a track. And then you just tell it like, which track do you want it to follow? So then I just say like, okay, I want it to follow the rail track. So I click that, and now I can adjust the position of this, and it follows the rail automatically.
Oh God, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's so much more intuitive than the other way. And then the other cool thing and I guess actually I can show you this too. You can actually see it as I move this in the game. You can see it kind of like flying around and doing its thing on the rail. So I can back it up. The other neat thing that you can do is if I click back on the rail and I go like, okay, this is looking pretty good, but right here where it's starting to like turn, it feels it doesn't feel natural enough. So what I want to do is I want to take this guy and I want to add some roll to it. So I want it to like
Nice.
bank a
Oh,
little bit like this.
great.
And then this one, I want it to bank the other way.
Nice.
And then when it gets up here, we want to do like a nice hard bank. Oh, go this way. So yeah, maybe, whoops. Maybe we'll do like negative 50 there. And then 6 will also do negative 50. And now if we go back into the game, grab the rig and start moving it along the position, you can see that now it's banking nice and smoothly, goes
Oh,
up
sweet.
here, and then it's
Great.
going a little hard to tell in the
Mm-hmm.
sky,
Mm-hmm.
but woo! I'm still brand new to this, so I'm still like learning how to use it, but you can
Yeah.
immediately tell like how much more freedom this provides in terms of
Right.
like when you want to make changes, or if you're like, you know what, we don't need waypoint 3
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure I could just
Delete.
like delete this, and now it's
Perfect.
gone.
Nice.
And then we can like adjust this one, and it's really easy to like just keep adding these and seeing where they want to go, and like, okay, I want it
Yeah.
actually to loop around the other side of this thing.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, ta-da! And you can also see like at a glance, like you have this nice, beautiful visual of like, oh, that's where the rail goes.
Okay. That's
So
cool.
anyway, yeah,
This is
all
awesome.
of
This
that
is
is just
awesome.
yes. I'm glad to hear you agree because this was like me not doing the original homework because
Yeah.
this was out there and I felt like this was worth chasing down and figuring out. And I've mostly figured it out. Obviously, I've got enough knowledge to be able to do what I just shared with you. There's still
Mm-hmm,
a couple
mm-hmm,
of pieces that I'm not completely certain of with regard to like actually adding it to the timeline so that way it animates when you hit play. Because if I hit play right now, like nothing happens. It's just going to sit where it was because it's not assigned to an animator of any kind.
sure, sure, sure,
The
sure.
rail is like all the infrastructure is there, so there is a way to assign an animator, and then it will know like, oh, at the
Mm-hmm,
beginning of the animation, start at
mm-hmm,
point zero, at node zero.
mm-hmm,
By the
mm-hmm,
end of the animation, make sure you get to point nine.
mm-hmm,
And there's
mm-hmm.
different things you can do along the way. But for the purposes of what we're trying to do, this is going to make my life so much easier than the other way that I was doing it.
Mhm, mhm,
So anyway,
mhm.
just wanted to share. That's what I've been working on since we last checked in, and hopefully that's going to make it a lot easier for me to actually start prototyping some of these scenes that we're working on.
Right. So this is cool. What I am going to show you today, I did it as method number one. The basically putting
Gotcha.
one and then click a keyframe and then move it and then put a keyframe. That's not the best way to do it. And seeing how
Hmm.
you did it is it gives me confidence in that we are able to plan our path going through the environment in a such easier way. Because the way I did it, it was I did it as intelligently as I could, but
Hmm.
if I were to make any changes, I would say no, no changes because if I were to do make any changes, it would just drive me fucking crazy. No, no changes, you know. But the way you did it is awesome. And Dr. Pecker actually said that's a cool system, makes work a lot easier instead of adding a bunch of keyframe. I wish Blender had a system like this. Dr. Pecker, I agree. I and this is me just talking to Pecker is that Dr. Pecker is that I think we can do it by moving the camera on a Bezier path, a path of some sort. Um, Seeing Michael do his demo made me think of maybe there's a way in Blender you could move the camera on a path of, you and then you could just put as many vertex points on that path and then just skew it and do whatever you need. But the way I did, I didn't do it on the path. I just did it just like how you did it, Michael, and how Dr. Pecker did it. Just move it, run here, keyframe, move this here, keyframe, move this here, keyframe. And if
Hmm.
I were to change anything, I would be like, it's too hard, you know. So I'm so glad you found this out, and I think that is actually a lot more valuable in 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 designing the rail shooter that way. So awesome job, man. Really, 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 really happy you found that way to do it. So
Thanks.
cool. Captain Blue says, I think Blender can do that. Maya can. Dr. Pecker says, I never
Mm.
thought of that. I just learned how to use hotkeys and even that slow workflow bit. Yep. Yeah. So I agree with Dr. Blue Blue that I think there definitely is a way to do that kind of rail system. I think I really, really think it's just putting a camera on a path on a vector path, and then you could just change that path and however it looks. So we could explore that a little bit later for my own sake, because that's something educational that as a Blender user I need to know in order to do future animations, right? So that's really awesome. Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing your new learnings with us. So that is freaking awesome. And now it's my turn to share with you guys what I did for last week. And then after I show that to you, I will show what I did for you this week. So bear with me, guys. I'm going to change. Hold on. Hold on. All right. So I'm gonna share screen really quick first. That's more important because I want Michael to hear the audio because that is really, really important because I actually did a little bit audio. Okay, we
Sweet.
see this. However, if I do this, boom, you see the both of us and also you see my Photoshop. But before we do that, oh crap, hold on. Which one do I want to show? This is 20. Okay, let's do 20 first. No, 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 no. I don't want to do 20. That's the special one. All right. So this is the one that I want to show. And apparently, okay, good. It's showing. Yay. So, whoa. It's my computer's like freaking out here. Uh, Sorry, chat. I am experiencing some technical difficulties. Yay! That's always a great thing. Not really. It's like blinking in and out. Do you see that, Michael?
Yeah.
If you're watching on
On
stream?
this, only on the
Yeah.
stream. In Discord,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah. So that is weird. I don't know why it's like blinking in and out. So give me 1 second, chat. If anything, I think.
It'll give everybody an opportunity to moisten their eyes every 5 seconds.
Yep.
Just won't
Yep.
blink at the same time.
So let me just do this then. Is that better? Is it blinking now? Okay, at least that is not blinking, so that's good. Boy, we're gonna have some technical issues today. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my
Yeah,
bones, Michael.
yeah.
All right. So
We've done something to displease the Twitch gods.
yeah, and the Discord gods, whatever it is. So right now everything looks good. It's not like freaking out, so that's okay. That's great. Um, Give me 1 second. Let me see
Sure.
if I can share the screen again instead. Smoother screen,
This.
30 frames per second. Go live, and then change it to this. All right. Are you gonna freak out on me, OBS? Yep, you're still gonna freak out on me. Screw you. All right, frag it. We'll do it live. Frag it. Okay, so this is what we did. What I did last week. This is more or less kind of a way to show how we want scene 4 to look. Basically, it's kind of going now inside the asteroid, and this is what it looks like. Hold on. Oh, let me go here, and I'm going
Oh
to
yeah.
press play. Boom, and then oh, and then we're flying in. We're flying in. We're flying. We're flying. Pa flying past like various robots, flying bots that we have to destroy, we have to shoot, and we could do some really cool barrel rolls. And then we're gonna fly out, and then we're gonna fly out into this, like another kind of design of like tunnel, right? There's like various tunnels that we can have, and it's gonna look something like this. And this week, I actually used this tunnel piece to do something cool, and I'll show you guys later, very, very, very soon after I show this to you. So essentially, we're just going through an environment like that, something like that. And right now, it's a little bit boring because there's like no robots for us to shoot, no drones, as how Michael said, right? So there's that. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I did last week, and for this week, I was supposed to work on scene 5, and oh no, I put it in render mode. Now it's gonna kill my computer. Jeez, man. Michael, I promise we're gonna get through this. Chat, I promise we're gonna get through this. Technical
No
difficulties, but that
worries.
that is okay. But yeah, this is kind of like the space environment of which you know we first picked out. Like we want to do it in space, right? Space is like the environment we've decided to do. All right, so let me go ahead and close this, or else my computer is gonna die. Do not save. Boom. Okay. So now, okay, give me 1 second, chat. I'm going to go back just us. All right, and wow, my computer is being like a butt right now. All right, sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, let me get my head
Oh,
together. I want to share with you guys a video, and in order for me to share a video, I have to open it up first. I'm gonna pause it, and I have to choose application. So this is what I'm going to show you guys, okay? Hopefully it works. Michael, hopefully you can hear it. Please let me know if you guys can hear it. Okay. You guys see a black screen, right?
Yes.
All
Well,
right.
I do
Cool. All right. So hopefully you guys can see it as well.
on
I'm
the
gonna
stream
press.
as well.
All right. I'm gonna press play now. Oh wait, hold on. Now.
I hear it. Whoa. Holy shit, dude, this is badass.
I wish I could see your face right now, man. Damn it.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is amazing. I don't even have to watch the rest of it. I already love it. It's so cool.
Pew, pew, pew. Shoot the turds! Shoot the turds! Ah! I can't shake him! I can't shake him! Barrel roll! Roll underneath!
Wow.
Shoot the red thing! Shoot that red cable thingy majiki! We got 6 more! You got enemy on your 6! Shake him! Kill that coupling! Destroy it! Woo. Destroy that coupling! Alright, let's make a pass at the mini boss! Ah! Let's go underneath. In the 5x5. That's it.
Wow. That was amazing. Play it
Yay.
again.
You want to see it again?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna play it again. Sorry, it's a little bit low quality. Ah, God. Oh, well.
That's okay.
We found the mothership! Destroy the couplings!
Your audio effects are great, and they're helping sell the idea.
Yay! Six more couplings. Ah! Whoa! Notice how I'm having like a lot of issues controlling the camera. Like doing this barrel roll going underneath, upside down, took me forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Doing it
Well,
by
I mean,
keyframe is not the way to do it.
Yeah, it's hard, especially because like the way the keyframe, I don't know how it works in Blender, but the keyframe system in Unity is such that if you want to like completely invert, then you're like going beyond 360, and it starts to like have weird things where then it's like sometimes it tries to like, oh, I gotta do another 360 to get back to where I was before. Like,
Yeah.
it's real whack.
And obviously, this this path right now that I made is very arbitrary. Is just trying to get to all the various power couplings, the fuel couplings, to destroy
Sure.
it. I made that in red. Just trying to, you know, come up with like cool, interesting path inside this space.
Yeah.
And we can decide to just redo it and make it the way we want it to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic first pass. Like, it's
Yeah, thanks, man.
Would you mind playing it again, but without the audio? The music choice is
Oh,
fantastic,
okay,
by
sure,
the way
sure.
you set it up. Because now what I'd like to do is talk through a couple of things.
Yeah.
But
Give me 1 second.
phenomenal work, dude! Like that's amazing. Like it's
Yeah.
so good. You're
I'm glad
killing
you
it.
like it, man. I'm glad you like it. It took me a while to figure some stuff out. First, I had to figure out the space. I had to figure out how the mothership looks like inside the thingy-majiggy, the
Hmm.
asteroid. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
I'm not 100% happy, but it is a starting point. All right, let me kill the music. And you said you want to watch it again. All right, give me 1 second, chat. Man,
Sure.
we're
Take
having
your
a
time.
lot of technical issues today. I am not
Chat's pretty
happy.
hyped up.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. That makes me feel so good and tingly inside. Yay. All right, so hold on. So I'm going to play it.
Captain Boo Boo says
Um,
this good, really amazing.
yeah. All right, play.
There it goes.
All right,
Um. Okay. So do you
and
want to talk?
you could tell me to pause too if you want to pause.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine if you want to like let this run and then talk through a couple of things that you were mentioning, about your like uh, process, and or I'm happy to start giving some of my like more in-depth reaction. You let me know what you
Sure.
want to do.
Why don't you go first? Because we can go more into it inside the model because right now what we're doing is we're watching the video.
Mm,
But we
sure.
can
Okay.
talk. I can talk more in depth once we're inside Blender. So I could let this play again
Gotcha.
if you're okay with that.
Sure.
If that's
Yeah. Yeah. Go for
okay.
it.
All right. So I'm playing this right now. It's playing. It's playing.
Um. So for me, I love this. I think it's fantastic. I think one of two things we need to pivot on is um, the way this is currently set up to me feels much more like it's the internal, like the inner sanctum of their like mothership of like the enemies. Like if the enemy appears at this sort of like space colony and they've got like their big battleship or whatever,
Hmm.
or their like giant space station, this is the thing that we go inside, and then that's where the the master AI mind or whatever is, and we have to take it out. So that's fine if that's what we want to do. However, what we had talked about was that like you would have the we'd be going inside the sort of like mining operation to find what's going on in there, and that's where the boss was, and the boss was like jacked into the mining operation, like stealing the resources. um the way this is set up doesn't read that way to me, but I think it's like the as like a first draft, everything is there, and we could just adjust this a little bit to make it seem like, oh yeah, I can see that this boss, like forced its way into this space and then just
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
jammed these tentacles into the existing apparatus to start like drawing out from it. The way this is
Sure.
like currently laid out is it looks like all of this was designed and manufactured specifically for this thing to exist inside this dome
Right.
or this
Right.
sphere.
Sure.
Um, so I think we probably need to pick which of those we want to go with. I mean, I can get excited about either of them, but I kind of lean a little bit more towards the mothership type thing. Um, Especially because I feel like that cool moment that you have on the outside where you're like flying through the the series, like that recurring pattern, and you're just like
Uh-huh.
flying through it, which I think is maybe a little bit fast. I got like a little dizzy,
Sure.
but maybe that's appropriate. I mean, that's an easy thing to adjust.
Yeah.
um, because this feels like we are flying into the heart of like their ship, or something in the like drone tech.
Hmm.
But man, I love the like overall architecture of the space, and how you've got like this sort of like ring terrace at the bottom, and all the different like couplings are fantastic with the like K braces. All of this is so cool, and and I'm glad you animated it, because you can feel how fun it's going to be to actually like fly around in there and be like fighting all these drones who are trying to defend the couplings.
Hmm. Hmm.
um yeah, all of that is amazing from like a game design perspective, like a level design perspective. I think you knocked it out of the park, home run. This is awesome. I think now it's just a matter of figuring out like, okay, how does it fit in with the overall story that we're trying to tell? And
Sure.
at this point, I'm perfectly happy to adjust the story to match the content that you've created that we are really excited about. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of like my initial reaction.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
the whole, man, bravo! This is incredible.
Yeah, cool.
I'm so excited to like. I want to get this in the game now and start
Yeah, so
flying
so
around and shooting stuff.
exactly. So like for example, when you ask me like is it too ambitious to take this and import it into Unity and then have you do your magic? I don't know. Is it too ambitious at the moment? Because right now, this is like you said, this is a very first draft preliminary design. This is just trying to get the concept out there, and does it feel right? Does it feel good? And is it playable? And maybe instead of like trying to play like do a lot of work, taking this right now in Blender, maybe I spice it up a little bit more and then we'll export it to Blender, export it to Unity. We could do whatever we want. It's just what's the most optimal way to do? Because right now I can kind of see and feel how the gameplay is just by looking at this animation. I
Totally.
mean, I it would be so awesome to see this going on, because right now
Hmm. Hmm.
it's just basically flying like this, right? And the camera is actually moving, but we're not getting the WASD key controlling back and forth. Um,
Sure.
Even although I want to see that, I don't think it's super important at this stage to see that. I think it's more important to, I guess I'm answering your question is that to get this space right. And well, I guess now I'm saying that you won't really know it feels right unless you actually fly through it and play through it, right, Michael?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, that's not to say that we can't make some kind of assessment at this level. I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
we can get pretty close to the like 80% there assessment where we can say like, oh yeah, based on what you have without any WASD movement, without being able to shoot things, I think yeah, this is all like with 80% certainty, this is going to be fun. Like this is going to be a lot of fun and completely designable or in terms. I don't know if that's really a word, but I'm what I mean by that is like if you gave if we went with this space
Hmm. Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
gave this to me, I can build a rail that goes through there that would be
Okay.
fun. I think.
Okay. All right. All right. That's cool. That's cool. I'll be more than happy to export everything as is to you as a FBX, and you could do whatever you want with it. As in, going through and playing inside the space to see if it actually plays well, rather than just, you know, as a video flying through the space.
Sure.
Yeah.
It might take me a little while to get to that point because I still need to
Hmm. Hmm.
um, figure out how to get so I know like how I had showed you. I know how to create the track. I know how to create the cart that follows the track, but I don't know how to
Hmm.
get the cart to animate with it. So I need to figure out how to do that, and then I
Sure.
need to
Sure.
do
Sure.
a
Sure.
couple more adjustments to get the WASDA
Yeah.
thing also
Yeah.
implemented. So I
Yeah.
probably won't be able to have anything by Wednesday.
Oh, of course not. Of course
Um,
not. Sure.
maybe by Sunday,
Yeah.
by next
Yeah.
Sunday.
I mean,
But
it's
yeah, I'd
just
love to try to do that.
it. I mean, I'm not asking like, oh, let's go, finish everything by Wednesday or anything, but it's just as long as I know that you can take this model as is, and then put it in Unity and fly through it. I mean, I think most important first is that you figuring out the WASD key integrating with the new rail system. I think that's
Hmm.
super super important. Forget about
Totally.
anything else. I think that's super important because that essentially will help us create the game, right? Without that, then there is no rail shooter, no matter how amazing or how cool we make the environments
Totally.
to be. So I would say while you're working on that, I can be working on this, the interior model, actually making it fit and making it look a little bit better. If there are things that's not working, we can, update it and change it and make it even better.
Hmm.
As well as working on scene 4, as well as working on scene 3. So I can be doing other stuff while you're learning to program the WASD keys,
Sure.
integration of the
Yep.
WASD keys. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Man, this is so exciting. Good job, Chris. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks, man. I did my best to make sure that there was a subtle music cue when you first go in bust into the main
Oh
hub.
yeah.
So let me see. Can you hear
Yeah,
the
I wouldn't
music?
say yes, the music is
All right.
excellent. I wouldn't say subtle. I think that was a pretty big moment where it kind of just like dropped when you get in
Yeah,
there, which is perfect.
the bass drop. Boom. Yeah, so I basically it's kind of funny when I was looking for music, and obviously this is not the final one. We could find whatever. There's like tons of music out there. I actually picked one that if I had shown it to you or let you hear it with this video, it would have been really, really distracting because the one I think that I really like was actually the Wonder Woman's theme. Dun 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 dun
Really?
dun 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 dun. You know, it has that really, really good beat.
Oh
But
yeah.
when you hear it, you're gonna be like, oh, that's Wonder Woman, and then you're not gonna be thinking
Mm,
about our game. You're gonna be thinking about Wonder Woman. So I kind of chose this generic one. Um, I would
sure.
play it. I would play it, but I don't know how to share it with Firefox and VLC together.
Gotcha. Sure.
Um, but just imagine if it was the Wonder Woman theme. It actually worked out really well. The Wonder Woman theme has a really really awesome cadence that gets your blood heart beating.
Mm,
So yeah, it's really good. But anyways, we definitely need to maybe one stream we can just peruse through like a list of copyright free, royalty free like music and just see what sounds good, what is the most appropriate. I mean, we could do it on screen or off screen, but we definitely should spend the time to pick out some type of music that goes really well with our video game.
totally.
Yeah.
Um, yes. So I think that what we should probably do there is get to a point. I mean, and we really could start doing that now if we wanted to, but I think it's a
Yeah.
potential a little bit early.
Right, right, right.
Um, but it's to do exactly what you've done, like create an animatic of the ship flying through there and doing stuff, and then use that same animatic and put and then run underneath it like
Hmm, hmm.
three different versions of like, okay, here's what it sounds like, and you could actually, and if you want to, I'm not saying you need to do this for homework or anything, but if you really feel pretty strongly about that Wonder Woman soundtrack, if you want to do another version of this video with that soundtrack on there, just so that way we can, for me, I can listen to it and get a feel of like what it is that you're really excited about it. Then that can kind of help me get in the mindset of like, oh
Sure.
yeah, okay, this is the type of music and the sort of like
Yeah.
um, elements that Chris is excited about.
Right, right. Uh,
Um,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. The reason why I didn't want you and the chat to listen to the Wonder Woman music is because I know for a fact that it's distracting. Even though I like it, it may not be appropriate for the game. I think it sounds cool. I think it's great for this moment, right now, what we're watching. But the tone, it's not the Wonder Woman soundtrack. That her main theme soundtrack is essentially very, very, like a warrior going into battle on foot. You know that kind of feel. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I hear that Wonder Woman, it for me it's obviously really distracting, right? But I just love it. But yeah, I'll definitely send you that the Spotify link, and then you could just listen to it while watching this video independently and just see how well or not well it meshes together. It's just kind of fun to just listen to various music, um, and watching the video to see if actually it makes sense or not. Yeah,
Totally.
so yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? Um, Can't remember. Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say. The music that you did choose for this, I think, is fantastic and feels
Mm.
very appropriate, especially because it's so like synthy and cyberpunky. Um,
Yeah,
it's
cyberpunk.
it feel
Yeah.
it conveys to me, like, especially that first moment where you enter this space and then the bass drops. Um, it's so appropriate because we are entering their space. Like this feels like
Mm,
now I'm on the drone's turf. So of course the music is going to be very synthesized and sound very techy, as opposed
mhm.
to something that maybe has more like horns and strings that can be a little bit more human on foot kind of bravery type things.
Right.
The music piece here really should convey the power of the enemy because we're going into their space, into their territory.
Yeah.
So this should
Yeah.
be less about this like heroic moment, a little bit of heroism, but a
Sure.
lot more of
Sure.
like you're on our turf now, so
Yeah.
get ready to get effed up.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm so happy that you like the direction it's going at the moment. Um, so yeah, that's cool. And let me turn off the video and then we'll dive into the model and I'll just
Sure.
tell you what I was thinking. So let me turn off that. Okay.
While you're
Thank
doing
you
that, I'm gonna
guys.
take a quick break.
Okay.
I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. Sounds good. And I will read your guys' comment once Michael is back because I want to make sure I get his feedback as well, based on what you guys are saying. But I'm so happy that you guys are here to actually witness this everything that we're doing right now. Oh, actually, you're not seeing what I am doing at the moment. Yeah, Discord and OBS are not playing very well with each other. And I'm sorry about that, chat. I'm sorry, sorry. Oh, it's not working. It's not working. All right, let me try this one more time. Screen number 4. Okay. Yep. And it's just basically diving in and out. Like it's black. It's not supposed to be black right now. Um, so that's a bit of a noise. See, it's back now. So that's kind of awkward, right? So it's now it's gone. Ah! Arrgh. All right, so let me do this. And let me hide us.
Okay,
All right,
back.
cool. So right now, oh, I want to go ahead and read the chat. I didn't want to read it without you,
Yeah.
so let
Oh,
me go
thanks,
ahead and
man.
read. Yeah, no problem. Captain Blue Blue says, really amazing. And he also said, when going through the hallways and ravines, I'm wondering, is it meant to be crashing damage? Uh, and and is and if so, how are you planning to implement it? Um, Oh, I think Captain Blue Blue, what you mean is like, are there going to be obstacles within the hallways? Um, if that is what you're asking, hold on, let me bring Michael up too so you can see him. If that is what you're asking, yeah, we definitely want to have obstacles in. Oh, sorry. Yeah, hold on, I'm trying to figure out the best. Give me one second. There you go. All right. We definitely want there to be obstacles in the environment that if you don't shoot it, it will cause you damage. Like if there's like a red wall that's like obviously like right in front of you, uh, you definitely need to shoot it. Or if you don't shoot it, if you don't have enough health, if you crash into it, then you'll just explode. Am I understanding that question correctly, Michael?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add to that is I think there will be certain segments where you'll be flying through like a ravine or a tunnel or something, and you actually won't be able to move far enough to the left or the right to actually collide with that unless we intend for you to be in a space where you're supposed to be dodging that stuff. We don't want
Hmm.
any like gotcha moments where you're like trying to dodge an enemy or something, then happen to like clip a wall. But there will be moments where it's very obvious that like, hey, in addition to fighting the enemies, you need to be dodging these obstacles that are coming at you too.
Right, right. Yeah, cool. Hopefully that answers the question, Captain Blue Blue. Dr. Pecker says one way you could change it is to just change the walls to look like rock, even if you just wrapped it flat instead of sculpted and everything complicated. Oh, I think what he's saying is, I,
Mm,
uh, in order to make it feel more like rock, like you're in an asteroid field that is actually a mining corporation, and
mhm.
not the interior of a mothership, that we should, have it more sculpted like rocks. Yes, because if I fly through here right now, I'm flying. Give me one second. I'm actually trying to get into the thing. Boom, we're in here. Because right now, everything is super, just round. At this level, I didn't want to take the time and do a lot of texturing, because that's not the point. The point is to actually have, a space for us to fly in, and just seeing how it feels when we are in the presence of the uh, mini boss. But you're definitely right. If we wanted to make the interior a lot more, a lot less, I guess, bad guy looking, mothership looking, then we should implement a little bit more the asteroid rock and texture and feel. Um, Anything to add, Michael?
The one thing that popped in my mind is that if we did want to continue with the like, okay, now you're going into this big asteroid, and then in the heart of it is where this scene would take place, we could do something like maybe make the boss a little bit smaller, and in the very center of this, and she would still be in the center of the space, but maybe taking up more of the actual volume of the space in the center could be like a giant green crystal or something. The thing that's like the
Hmm, hmm,
fuel
hmm.
source, and she's like latched onto it, trying to like absorb energy out of it or something, and then maybe she's tapped into the conduit things somehow. So
Hmm,
she's
hmm,
like
hmm.
the bigger thing is the resource. And she's invaded that space. She's like the second biggest thing in there, and then everything else, like including us, is like tiny little ants compared to these two
Sure.
things. Um, so that way it feels like, oh yeah, this was a space where, these guys built this thing around uh, this like giant vein of ore, and they've been just chipping away at it and mining it, and then now this thing has just swooped in here and is, I don't know, somehow trying to steal all of it, or maybe she's got like some kind of portal that she's trying to open to just like take the whole thing out at once or something. I don't know. That was just
Yeah,
a random thing that popped in my head.
yeah. I like the fact that, for example, let's just say this is the thing that is in the middle of of the the room, right? It's like has
Hmm.
the green gas or green fuel that is trying
Yeah.
to get or something. Hold on, let
And
me do
she's
something
like
really quick.
just
Uh,
sucking the resources out of there.
yeah. Sorry. Oh man, I knew I shouldn't have made that non-selectable. There you go. Boom. And then what I will do is turn on back facing so you could actually see
Ooh, cool.
the back so that I won't have to always, try to figure
Be
stuff out.
inside there.
Yeah, because you we could see the inside, but once we are actually inside, we could still see in the interior the mode.
Hmm.
But once we're like, for example, outside, we could still see it to
Yeah,
inside,
that's
even though,
fantastic.
yeah. So this is the wall, and then once we pass through the wall, we could still see inside. All right. What I was saying is basically had this. Oh shit. Had this kind of be the center source of power and energy, and
Hmm.
she is basically just like, and then just like, oh man,
Yep. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
just sucking all the energy. And when she knows that she's like in trouble, then she could just like, all right, this is not working. Bye bye, and then
Yeah.
just like
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
tries to
Perfect.
escape, right?
Love it.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, things are not working out. Bye bye. You know.
Hmm.
So I think story-wise, I think we should still keep it as a mining colony, that it is the boss that's invaded this central hub station, fuel power station. And then once she's defeated, she'll get the frack out.
Sure.
Boop.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm good with
Yeah.
that.
Cool. Awesome. And my job is to, for next week or next session, is to basically, I guess it could be kind of redesigning it so that it doesn't feel like she's part of the system or the part of the environment, but
Mm,
she is the invader.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Um, like recommendations I would make there then would be like, I think it's fine to have the mining operation have like industrial mechanized, like squares, sharp corners, non-organic shape type things. But you could also introduce some more organic shapes as well for the like asteroid piece.
Hmm.
Um, but for the drones, in order to distinguish them from the like industrial thing, maybe the industrial like the human infrastructure could be maybe banged up and dirty and have like a different color set and not be as like sleek and clean and
Hmm.
sharp and like 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 stainless steel blade shapes of the drones. That way those two things can like be in the same space, but it's very clear, oh, these things are from different worlds, and
Sure.
it, it's not all kind of like blending together.
Yeah, yeah. For example, like these pieces right here, right? These
Hmm.
these kind of have the same visual language, shape language,
Mm-hmm, hmm.
the environment and the what is it? The mini boss.
Hmm.
So I would have to find a way to create a visual language that sets them apart, so that, you can tell like, oh, this is the interior of the mining core, and their architecture is different than the architecture of the bad guys.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Bingo. Yep,
yeah.
nailed it. But I do really like the idea of
Oh shit.
in this space there being that sort of like giant central like mining column that you have there. That's
Mhm,
sort of
mhm.
like this is the thing that is like it's like the big oil drill, right? It's like the
Yeah,
one of those like oil rigs out in the middle of the ocean where it's like, this is the thing that is pumping the resources out of this asteroid. Um, I think that's pretty cool. And then having all the the tubes that are kind of like coming off that. That's great, especially from a game design perspective. I love that, and that we're flying around in there and we're like shooting the things to like, blow up the conduit couplings or
yeah.
whatever.
It needs to like whoosh, and then just falls or something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking we can do one of two things with those. Either you're shooting those to like stop feeding her the resource that she's sucking out of there, or maybe the resource is some kind of like hyperactive energy thing, and that those are actually regulators to prevent the system from overloading. So it's like limiting how much of the resource flows through there. So by
Mhm,
shooting
mhm.
those, you're actually just opening up the channel completely, and then it like zaps her with it. So then once you get all of them open, she's like receiving such a charge of energy that it's damaging her and it's too much. So then she's like uncouples and it's like, damn it, I'm pissed now. And then you
Mm.
actually have to fight her before she leaves or something. I don't know,
Right,
just
right.
different ways to do it. But I definitely really like the idea of there being these things that we're flying around and shooting in order to, um, get this boss to piss off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, cool. Let me do this. So technically the wires.
Or, or so what I just said I think makes sense in the two cases where it's like where those wires are connected. Yeah, what you're doing where they're connected to the mining operation. What we
Uh-huh.
could also do is if she wanted to just like jack in directly, those cables could actually be like tentacles that are coming out of her. Sort of like you can imagine like Doc Ock tentacles, right? Where they're
Oh,
like
sure.
coming out of her body and like latching into maybe there's like pipes that are pumping
Mhm, mhm,
the pumping the resource, and
mhm.
she's like uh like a leech just or a tick
Sucking. Yeah,
digging into it and then like siphoning off the material. So then you're just like actually trying to dislodge her tentacles.
yeah, yeah. And just FYI, the green is kind of like the resources. I was just
Ooh,
trying to show
cool.
like a different color.
Oh,
So it's
gotcha.
like
Yeah, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
in the
That's
bottom.
great.
It's like, obviously I didn't want to take too much time to like figure out how it works. I
Hmm.
just basically put it here as like, oh, this is green, so therefore this is a red. We want to shoot it, and then so um, it'll stop it from shooting or sucking the
Hmm.
energy from the thing. But
Totally.
I really like the fact that we have a main source, and that source is pumping, it's gathering in the center, and then she's basically going in, boom, jacking into the system and sucking the minerals and fuel out. I also
Hmm.
really like the idea that she herself has tentacles that's also kind of like, latch, like you said, latch itself on. Let me see if I could actually. Nope, I can't because I made that into geometry and not a spline. So imagine if she actually had like instead of one of these tentacles on under her armpit, is
Mm-hmm.
actually shooting out at this space right
Mm-hmm.
now, and then we have to like detach it, like essentially cut the cord, um, in
Yeah,
order to stop her from getting a lot of juice, if you will.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like that.
Oh shoot. No. Sorry. No. Ah.
Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but great job with the sense of scale, because
Oh,
that's
thanks,
not
man.
always easy to do in
Yeah.
3D stuff. But
Yeah.
this is, yeah, super cool.
Thanks, dude. I think we talked about it, how, we keep making things bigger and bigger and bigger. It just doesn't feel
Hmm.
right. Yeah,
Right.
I had the same issue with this too. I'm just like, why is this not feeling right? Partly because of the camera angle, camera focal point, and the f-stop. If we pull it back closer, if you show more of the environment, it's just like a whole there's like a lot of factors that goes into it. Um, I can't pinpoint what it is. I just kept noodling it until it felt right. Um,
Hmm.
but right now, it is what it is. I can't really explain why it feels right. But that was my goal, is just to make sure that it feels okay. It feels
Yeah,
appropriate.
it feels awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. And when you actually look at the plane itself inside this environment, the plane is so small. It's like super, super tiny.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
Like a little ant in,
it
inside
really
a
is.
house.
So let me see if I could do that. All right, show you exactly what I mean. So this is the plane
Hmm.
inside. Yeah,
Yeah, look at
it's
that.
like
It's insane.
it's huge, but when you're actually flying, it doesn't feel that big.
Yeah, yeah. That's That's exactly why I was like, oh man, I need to compliment that because that's not easy to do. Like the
Yeah.
little bit that I've been doing with like trying to design these spaces, it's way easier to do when you have like actual terrain and you're just flying close to the ground. But when you're
Hmm.
flying around in like these large aerial spaces, it's really hard to get them to feel grand and epic
Hmm.
because you
Hmm.
have to
Hmm.
make them so huge just to get it to feel like, oh yeah, that feels like that's big.
Right, right, right. Yep,
But bravo,
that's it.
it's fantastic. And
Yeah.
I love seeing all the little drones flying around in there. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, these little
This
drones.
scene's gonna be a blast to play.
Yeah, I can't wait. What I was gonna say is that these drones more or less acts as the asteroids when we're in space, because if
Mm.
we're not passing through relatively stationary objects, we won't
Hmm.
know how fast we're going. And
Right.
also because they're actually a lot smaller. They're actually real size, so that when we do pass them, we're like, oh shit, this environment is actually really big, because these guys are not that small. Because it's just like, holy cow. So actually passing through these guys um, helps to sell the scale of the environment, as well as being able to, because look at how small they are right now, right?
Yep.
And then we're finally flying past them really quickly. And obviously, I didn't really do a good job of placing them. I just wanted to put it in our flight path a little bit.
Sure.
Um, you, but just passing through something gives us a better sense of speed and
Yeah.
in the environment too.
Another thing we could consider, and I'm hesitant to say it because I'm putting my producer hat back on and thinking about like reducing scope or limiting work in progress. But that is one thing that we could do inside this space to add to like the sort of um the I don't know I really don't know what to call it, the like the content of this of the volume, the texture of the space, like to add stuff that you can have close flybys with. Because it's like a mining operation, we could have some kind of like farrier carts or platforms that are kind of like moving around that are like these big
Hmm.
barges or things. I'm kind of thinking of like in Overwatch on Volskaya, you've got those platforms that kind of like rotate around.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We could do things like that that maybe actually have like crates or something on them,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
little sort of like flatbed. Like imagine like a flatbed diesel truck sort of a thing, but
Hmm.
a spaceship version that's like flying around and maybe carrying rocks or gas tanks or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so they wouldn't be, things that were trying to attack you or that you needed to attack, but there'd just be additional uh, stuff in the environment that you can
Hmm.
fly past to kind of give you
Hmm.
a sense
Hmm.
of movement and depth.
Yeah. It's basically the mining operations equipment and
Hmm.
transit system that's inside.
Yeah. We could even have like some. uh, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna stop adding scope. We could even have like crane arms and things that are like
Oh yeah.
dangling off of the mining
Uh-huh.
armatures.
Uh-huh.
That would be really cool too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's not do that unless we have to.
Right, 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 right. Um, that's so cool. I'm very aside from the all this stupid ass technical issues that we're having today, I'm very happy with
Hmm.
the outcome and response based off of what I've done this week.
Yeah, phenomenal
Yeah.
work. Like
Yeah.
everything that you did this week is incredible. Before I forget, one thing that I was gonna suggest. Um, because I can kind of foresee this becoming something that we're going to start refining as we go now. In terms of the visual language of color, are we happy with the color red being the like designator for this is bad guys, things that you need to shoot, or do we want that to be a different color? The reason I ask that is because I'm starting to look at this and see like, okay, we've got red for the things you want to shoot and green for the resource. Maybe, and that doesn't necessarily that's not necessarily a bad thing, but is a
Hmm.
little Christmassy. Just
Oh,
something to be
right.
aware of. We
Hmm.
could switch things and say like, okay, well, what if the bad guy target things are orange and the resource is blue? Then we can,
Hmm. Hmm.
piggyback on the cliched standard trope of the like orange blue combination
Yeah.
of that color motif. Maybe we choose something else. Um, but I kind of feel like we may need to think about
Sure.
what those two main colors are that are going to kind of be clashing between
Yeah.
resources, things that I need to protect, versus dangerous enemy things that I need to shoot.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we definitely, I mean, good point, awesome point. We definitely can do some visual exploration. We don't have to just pick the color. I could do like a swatch of various color combinations that
Mm.
feel most appropriate in the game. I mean, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Green and red is they're complementary colors, but at the same time, you're right. They are very Christmassy. Um,
But I mean, with
like
adjustment, they wouldn't necessarily. Like, I mean,
yeah.
there are ways that I'm sure that we could get around them
Yeah,
feeling Christmassy, or add like a third color that
yeah,
disrupts the motif.
right, right, right. I mean, I also love, the complementary colors of purple and yellow,
Mm.
There's also blue and orange. Those are complementary colors too, as well. I mean, there's like a whole bunch I think we have to see it. We could talk about it all day, but as long as we see it, then we'll be able to be like, okay, it feels right. Why is it
Mm-hmm.
playing by itself?
Totally.
Oh, got to the end of the timeline. That's why.
Mwah,
So
mwah,
yeah,
mwah,
I
mwah.
could I could definitely do a little bit of visual exploration. Notice how I'm having issue talking and watching this at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no problem. Yeah, it's distracting because
right.
it's awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Really makes me want to get out there and start shooting stuff.
I know, right? So that's why I'm like, I really wish everything that you did in your tutorial shooter on the thing that it's actually happening in our space so that we're actually playing it. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
Okay,
cool if there was a way to like export that so that you could just put that like the game code into Blender
mhm.
and then like, oh, I'll just play it right here in Blender.
Yeah. Um yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I could control it like this, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
not as cool. And again, I can't do the WASDA flying back and forth thing.
Mm-hmm.
That will definitely add a lot of energy into the space. Um,
Totally. Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
one thing that I did want to say is, and in order to do that, I need to turn back face culling off, is that when we are outside of the asteroid.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the things that we talked about, Michael, is that we definitely do not want um, when we're outside in the space, we don't want to see the mothership at all, right? We actually want to save
Right.
uh save that reveal when we go through into this little tubey thingy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we can hint at it is like what the hell is those three prong thingies like sticking out of the asteroid? That's kind of like just a foreshadowing of like kind of the boss that we're gonna have to face later on.
Yeah, another thing we could do too, in order to like, uh, f- um, well, I guess if she used a portal, she could just like portal into there. But if portals aside, we could also have the boss have like bored a hole from the top into that main chamber.
Hmm.
So at some point early on, you could just see like, oh, something is like doing something at the top of that asteroid where there's like debris and chunks flying away. Like, what the hell's going on up there?
Yeah, yeah.
And or we could like it could also be like an existing tunnel or something that she's
Hmm.
gone through, and maybe we
Hmm.
fly through that tunnel in order to get to the like the big reveal. So we're actually like coming in through the top instead of coming in through the side.
Right.
But I'm having a hard time visualizing coming in that way and still having that really impressive moment where you like kind of nose up and see like the boss in this environment um, stealing the resources, which is
Yeah.
really cool. Like that's a really great payoff. So I don't know, but yeah, or it could actually look kind of cool if like you still come in this way, but there is still that tunnel above her where you can kind of see like there's
Yeah.
this dark abyss, tunnel that extends up. And you're like, oh man, what's going on up there? And then
Yeah.
that's like how she escapes or something, and maybe even chase her. Like maybe that's the final part of the
Hmm.
boss
Hmm.
battle is like she's trying to escape out of that thing, and you're like chasing her down and
Yep.
fighting along the way. And then when you get
Yep.
all the way out at the top, then she's like hyperspace and she's
Yeah.
gone. You're like, damn it,
Yeah.
didn't
Um,
kill her.
and then it's to be continued based on
Yeah,
surveys and
with a
see if
link to the
people are
Kickstarter.
yes, exactly. Yeah. That I can't wait for that date to happen. We're actually, all done with this. This is gonna be so cool, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already so cool.
Yeah.
Just got to keep going.
Yep. All right,
Well,
cool.
phenomenal job, Chris. This is amazing. Really, really good
Thanks, man.
work.
And also good work on your finding your new way of doing the rails because that's super super important as well. Very very
Thank you. Yep.
yeah, because that is the bones of the game. Because if you can't lay out a cool path, then you won't be able to do any cool shit, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh crap! I don't know if I should save this file or not. Oh man.
Save as maybe.
Yeah, let me do a save as. Yeah, that's smart. Thanks, man. So
Sure.
let me do a save as really quick, and then we will move on to save as. Boom. All right, and then I will close Blender. Hopefully my computer won't like die. Um, How are you guys doing? Oh, Michael, do you mind reading the chat really quick while I set up some
My
stuff?
pleasure.
Thank you, man.
All right, so Dr. Pecker says it would be cool if there was a way to show the boss sucking the material or ores from the meteor, like making the pipes glass and then animating the rocks into the center. That's a cool idea to actually like have like little windows of some kind where you can actually see into the pipes and the machinery where the resources are moving around. So that's a good idea. Thanks, Dr. Pecker. Captain Blue Blue also says, also bright red and bright green does not feel like Christmas, to be honest. It has a very specific red and green around that time. So yeah, I mean it really depends on like how we use it, and if
Mhm,
like the
mhm.
red and the green are really prominent, and they're the specific type of like red and green that feels like super Christmassy, then it could be a little bit dangerous. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily be. It's not necessarily the case, but it is something to be like, oh hey, be mindful of
Yeah.
how you use that. Dr. Pecker says you can give the red a bit of emission for it to glow a bit so the bots or look more alive. Yep, yeah, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah,
And
that's
I
really good.
definitely think we want to do that with that like the eye, right, to kind of give them a little bit more life,
Right,
make
right,
that
right.
a more appetizing target to shoot.
Yeah. That these are
Good
all really
points.
yeah, these are all really good points, Dr. Pecker, Dr. Pecker and Captain Blue. Really appreciate it, dude. You guys are
Yeah, thanks for the
awesome.
feedback, guys.
Yeah. And like I said, for those of you guys who, give feedback to us like this, we definitely want to credit you in our game. It really means a lot to us that, you guys, to hear you guys actually think it's going in the right direction gives me the confidence of, pushing myself and actually do more work. And, just again, I am not just obligated to myself, but I'm also obligated to Michael and you guys to create that game. So, I can just just keep going one day at a time. Even though boy, Michael, like some days I don't feel like I'm actually producing good work, and when those days happen, I just feel so discouraged. But I, you just gotta keep doing it, and that's what kind of led me to where I am right now in this stage of my life, and as well as this game. So you just gotta take it one day at a time. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep, that's
um,
exactly right.
yeah. Michael, do you want to? We have some people. When I mean people, I mean our chat members. Captain Blue Blue posted some artwork, and I looked at it, but I also wanted to get your opinion on his work as well. I gave him
Yeah,
some
please, let's
advice
do it.
on some stuff that he did, and I definitely want to show it to you and basically talk about it together. And Dr. Pecker did another rendering for us. That is cool. So I'm gonna try one more time trying to share my screen. I
Okay.
don't know why it's like being stupid. It's like being choppy and shit. Let me go live. Smoother video, better text readability. Let's do better. Well, we'll see. All right, let me go live here. Let me do this, and let me do this. No, boy, this is. Is it being weird? Is it being weird?
That's weird.
Okay, it is being weird. Yeah, still being weird. Man, you suck. You suck, OBS. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 minute.
Is it blinking again? Is that the problem?
Yeah, it's blinking. It's like so annoying, man. Oh, okay. So this is what Captain Blue Blue has done, and I wish I actually, if I can make it a little bit bigger, something like that. Um, so Captain Blue Blue sent this. He posted this on our Discord. I don't know if you got a chance to look at this, Michael. Did you get a chance to look at this at all, by any chance?
I checked the Discord like 30 seconds before we started streaming, so I didn't really. I just saw like, oh, I guess there's messages in here. Oh, there's a bunch of art stuff, but I haven't
Yeah.
like looked thoroughly, so this is cool.
Right. Right. So let me put this here, and well, maybe I could make. Sorry, I'm That's a little bit better. All right, cool. So he posted this and he asked some feedback from me, and the feedback that I gave to him was that he's essentially creating badges for his Twitch channel, and
Cool.
this right here is the 1 month badge, and this is the work in progress of a 3 month badge, right? And I told him the designs were really really awesome, really really cool. The only feedback that I gave him was that because this is a 1 month badge, I told him instead of using two different colors, two different types of image, right? Instead, just use one, because one
Hmm.
month equals one color. That's just like a visual
Totally.
connection thing, right? And then because this is a 3 months, you would have three colors, which this is super appropriate in my mind. So that was the only uh, comment slash feedback that I gave to him.
Which, yeah, that was one of the things that popped into my head too. And bear in mind, I'm a Twitch noob. I don't know a whole lot about the Twitch badges and how they all work, but um, I'd be careful with that logic if there's also like additional badges after that. If there's like a 5 month and a 9 month and a 18 month, like you wouldn't want to have a badge with 18
Oh,
different
sure. That's a great
patterns
point.
on it.
That's a great point.
Um,
Yep.
so what you could do instead is either change the like have a consistent number of patterns, but change the shape of the shield to become like more complicated
Intricate.
over time. Yeah, exactly, more intricate.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or you could add a number that so like you've got a 1 for the 1 month badge, you've got a 3 for the 3 month badge, you've got like 12 for the 12-month badge, or if it goes to like a year at some point, then maybe you switch from silver to gold and it's a little bit fancier, but you've got or maybe it's like a 1Y. I don't really know.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, between looking at just the two that we're seeing on screen right now, where you're like, this is the 1 month and this is the 3 month, the indication is that like, oh, okay, the pattern is actually increasing by one each time. So actually, it should start with just one pattern. Um, but maybe in the 1 month badge, you can introduce that sort of like dark gray blue color. Uh, so you have a consistent number of colors and patterns, but they're changing orientation, they're changing shape, and the shield shape is changing each time. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I'm bunch of random thoughts there. Take whatever you like and
Hmm.
get rid of whatever you don't like. But those are my like random knee jerk thoughts.
Yeah, Michael, you made a really good point. I didn't even think about the other various months as well. And Captain Blue Blue basically stated there are 1, 2, 3, 6, 12, and 24 months. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so that definitely I didn't think that far, Captain Blue Blue, and Michael made a great point, and so now I'm like rethinking the whole idea of it. So I would just say do all of them and then show us, because obviously
Mm-hmm.
like looking at this in a vacuum is just it's not good for feedback it's inaccurate feedback. uh, but logically, from what it is right now, I would just say like, oh yeah, one color for 1 month, but yeah, I didn't even think about like the freaking 12 and 24 months. Oh, maybe like how in Overwatch you get a badge, right? And then underneath the badge you get a like 1 star and 2 star and then 3 star and
Mm.
then 5 star,
There
right?
you go.
Maybe, yeah, maybe you could take a look at the Overwatch ranking system. That definitely would help as well. But Captain Bluebell also said he made a final version.
Ooh, cool.
So this one
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see
versus
where it's got
this
more.
one.
Yeah, it's got more rendering. You can see some shadows and some highlights on the I get my the like outer perimeter ring thing.
Oh, yep, I see it too. Yep. He's added some shadows right here. Got it. I didn't
Hmm?
see it until now that you pointed out. Great job, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is looking
Captain
cool.
yeah, Captain Boo Boo does really good 16-bit artwork, of
That's
which
awesome.
it's not easy to do.
It is
That's
not
not
easy to do.
it's
It's
not easy to
amazing how
yeah.
like changing one pixel makes the thing either not look right or look perfect.
Yeah,
So yeah, pixel art's always so frustrating for me. I don't do
yeah.
well any of it anymore because for that reason.
I have mucho respect for you guys that are able to do pixel art. Um,
Yeah, so looking good, man. Keep it up.
yeah, seriously. And Gentleman Heavy, are you in here? If you're in here, I would love to chat about your work, but if you're not in here, I don't want to talk about it. As in, I mean, I would love to share your work with other people, but I would love to give like your praises when you're actually here. But right now, we could just go ahead and take a look at. So last night,
Ooh.
when I was playing Overwatch, Gentleman Heavy actually told me that he also did 3D printing. And I'm like, holy cow, that is awesome. So he's into Warhammer 3000 or 8000 or 7000, 4000. I don't remember what thousand it is. But he actually paints these little miniatures and it's so freaking awesome. It's so freaking
Yeah,
awesome.
those are amazing.
Yeah.
Wait,
So
th those miniatures are 3D printed and then he paints them?
yes,
Holy smokes, those are
so
so intricate.
he and I both have an Elegoo Mars printer. So he has this printer as well. Um, and then so both of us, essentially have the same kind of process. I have kind of a UV box. I have a setup, or not as setup as sexy as his, but I do have more or less the same equipment because we are both 3D printing stuff. I print my, anime girls. He prints these incredible little miniatures that he's done. He prints this out and then he would paint it. It's freaking
I
awesome.
think I got an
Corn.
ear of corn for a
Yep,
head.
absolutely.
Fascinating.
It's very, very, very cool. Um,
What's the UV box for?
so the UV box helps to solidify the resin because if we don't put
Mm,
uh the the resin prints in front of UV light, it won't be able to cure the surfaces.
mm,
It'll remain kind of have this like kind of tactile feel, which is not great when you're actually handling it because that material is not really good for the skin. So what you do is you put it
mm.
inside the UV container so that it can cure a little bit to have a cleaner, smoother, a non-toxic surface. Or actually,
Gotcha.
yeah, it won't be as tactile, sticky and whatnot. It'll be nice and hard like plastic.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. So it's very cool. And apparently he added some more stuff on here.
Ooh,
Ooh, hold on. Can I
that
make
is
this bigger?
amazing that that's 3D printed. Like that's so
Yeah.
intricate.
Holy
Just
cow,
like
look at that.
tentacles and arms and stuff coming off. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And this, I mean, 3D printing, it takes a lot of work to get it nice and clean because, you
I
gotta
bet.
sand it, you gotta wash it, you gotta, put primer on it if you decide to paint on top of it. A lot of work, which is very, very, very interesting. Hey, gentlemen, Heavy, thank you so much for the follow. We're showing your stuff right now. So yeah, this is all his stuff that we're looking at. Um, yeah, and we were just, or I was geeking out yesterday of all the stuff that he's been showing to me, and this is all his little miniatures. If you guys want to take a look at his stuff, it's all in the gallery, and make sure go in there and check out a lot of his stuff. And I know that Dr. Pecker as well.
Ooh, cool.
He posted, what did he say? Finally finished my second render using cycles. This is awesome. Good job, man. Holy cow.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that
he
looks great.
created, yeah, he created a butterfly. Beautiful. And and Dr. Pecker, you actually had to UV unwrap everything in order to get this texture on the butterfly. That's very cool. And did you use a skybox for the environment? I think you did. I think you did. Yeah. But this is cool, man. How long did it take for you to do this and or render this? Gentleman Heavy says, "Oof, I just remember I didn't follow. I was waiting for the alert, but it never came on." Oh, no worries, man. Yeah,
Oh
no, we were
no.
just, it's okay. We were just looking at your stuff. I was telling Michael yesterday how we were, I was geeking out over all the 3D prints that you made, and but yeah, thank you again so much for posting it on the Creative Tavern as well, because I love getting Michael's feedback. Not just my own, because Michael usually looks at things from a game perspective. Michael is also kind of a game board designer enthusiast. So seeing this stuff, I definitely want to show Michael, because these are like little miniatures that it's very much related to D&D. Or is that a right statement when I say that? I mean, it's like miniatures, right?
Yeah, that's
D&D
fair.
uses
I mean,
miniatures, right? Yeah.
you don't need miniatures to play D&D, but a lot of D&D is played with miniatures.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. So, um, and Heavy, he basically gets together with his friends every weekend, if I'm correct, Gentleman Heavy. So that's really, really cool. That's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, please
man,
continue to
that's
share your
rad.
work with us. Yeah,
Please,
it's
yeah,
so
those are
it's
so
so
cool.
cool. Yeah. And this is the final. And Dr. Pepper says, "Thank you." And yes, that's what took me forever using nodes for the tree. Yep. Okay, so for the tree, all right. So you basically use the procedural texturing method in Blender um, for the tree texture. Yes, I did use a skybox. Yep. If I were talk, if we're talking work hours, probably 4 hours got it, and it took me like 2 minutes to render actually. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, Blender, the program itself has gotten so good at rendering things at a default level. I don't have to
Hmm.
change a lot of settings in order for it to like render nicely. Blender has been getting better and better with each different versions that it comes out, unlike OBS, which kills my stream every new version. Uh, Stupid OBS. Urgh. But yeah, thank you guys so much for showing this stuff. Every time I see all this, it just motivates me to be part of the group. I'm so happy that we have this group, and to just see all your guys' amazing work. Like Dr. Pecker right here did a amazing 3D rendering of this last time. And yeah, Captain Boo Boo. I definitely want to show or not show. I want to see the 3, 6, 12, and 24 months, if and whenever you're done with it. That would be really, really, really cool.
Yes,
But yeah,
please.
yeah, very cool. Sweet, awesome. So let's I think we're good with all the Discord showing, and we will go into our Yay! This is our Q&A session now. If you guys have any questions you guys want to ask us, um, feel free to ask us right now. And yeah, Michael, how you doing, man? How are you feeling
Uh,
about our game?
oh man, I'm feeling great about it. Like it's really coming together. I feel like each time we check in, either one of us has something really awesome to show, or one of us has like learned a new tool that like makes the process or is going to make the process easier or better.
Mm.
Um, and it's also awesome to like have everybody in the chat, like getting your reactions, your feedback. It means a lot. Like it really means a lot to both me and Chris because it's
Mm.
certainly one thing for speaking for myself. I don't want to put words in Chris's mouth, but when I show something and get a really positive reaction from Chris, like that's really motivating and inspiring to me. It like helps me stay engaged with the creative project because it's hard to stay engaged. Like Chris was saying earlier, like there are days where you just do not feel like you're very creative or very good at what you're doing, and you're not very excited or motivated about it, and it's a slog. And when you try to do something, the file is corrupted, and there's problems that you run into. So it can be really hard to stay motivated, and it's so helpful to be able to share it with you guys and to have you guys be like, oh my god, that looks so cool, and to get like
Yeah.
the hype train going in the chat. Like that's That's really great. And so, thank you guys for being here and for being part of that, because that certainly helps us stay excited and stay motivated and keep trucking along. So overall, yeah, I'm really excited about the game.
Yeah, I'll attach exactly what you're saying. It basically gives me the motivation and the affirmation that we are actually going down a right path, that we're actually doing well. I mean, Michael and I could be designing and just sharing each other and just blow on each other like, oh, we're really good, we're doing a great job. But objectively, we can't really say that because we created it, but because you guys have giving us good feedback, then we actually know we're going on the right path. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. And Dr. Pecker asks, where do you see the theme park industry going as technology gets better? That's a great question.
Really good question.
Where do you see the theme park industry going as technology gets better? Michael, do you have an answer for that one at all?
Yes, but I have to be careful about what I
Yeah,
say
yeah.
because there's certain. So, in all, here's a little disclaimer before I answer that question. In just about every entertainment industry, um, you have to be careful with NDAs. That's like non-disclosure agreements, right? So when you sign up and say like, yes, I want to be an employee and I want to work for your organization and I want to work on your project, or yes, I want to be a consultant and help you guys make this amazing thing that you're making. You almost always have to sign an NDA, and you can't. And there's certain things you can't talk about. And the theme park industry um, is really cagey about things that you say. Some of the other industries are a little bit looser, where it's totally fine to like have a behind the scenes camera that can show things, and they do behind the scenes documentaries and things like that, where people can share their work on their portfolios and LinkedIn profiles and things like that. The theme park industry is a lot more buttoned up, I feel like, than other mediums like video games or television shows or movies or books or whatever. And I think part of the reason for that is because theme parks take way longer than anything else to
Mhm.
make.
Yeah.
You can make a TV show or a movie in like a year or two if you're moving really fast. An animated movie, like the full length CG animated movies, take the longest. Those things take like 5 years to make. So you see, like, Pete Docter finishing something in 2015. His next movie doesn't come out till 2020. So that's really long. 5 years in entertainment is really long. The theme park industry, it can take anywhere from like 5 to 20 years to do a single theme park project.
Yeah.
I know Shanghai Disneyland, they were like in talks to do that back in the like late 80s, early 90s. And that park didn't open until 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, so that's one reason. Another reason is because the team size and the capital investment required in theme parks is so huge. Companies are really concerned about making sure that they're protecting what they're doing and they're staying ahead of their competitors. And they want to make sure that the money that they're investing uh, goes to something that is really going to blow people away when the thing opens, because you really only get that one shot to do something new that nobody else has ever done before, impress and wow crowds, and get everybody to come to your park, including your competitors who are coming in to be like, oh man, look what these guys did, like that's pretty cool, like we should do something like that on the project that we're working on. You want to have those kind of moments. You don't want to let the cat out of the bag or talk about things you're not supposed to. So um, so that's one factor. All of that is just to like make this like very long-winded disclaimer of saying like, there's some things that I know that I can't really talk about. Um, with all that said, generally speaking, I think as technology advances, probably the biggest, not really concern, but like the biggest variable that I think we think about in the theme park industry is the same thing that a lot of other entertainment mediums think about, and that is the competition for you, the customer, the guest, for your attention is ferocious now. With people having like their phones, Netflix, YouTube, video games, TV shows, there's so like social media, TikTok, like all of these things are competing for your attention, and it can be really hard designing theme parks that can compete with those things. Even
Mm-hmm.
like even when we know we've already got you in the park and you are wandering around and you're doing things and you're standing in line, sometimes it's really hard and really kind of frustrating too for us to find ways to keep the guests engaged when they're just staring at their phone. So we could spend like all this time and money designing this really beautiful set piece, but most people don't see it because they're looking at their phone at that
Right.
point.
Yep.
So the real challenge, I think there's like a challenge. That's one of them. But then there's also the opportunity to maybe integrate some of that technology to make more interesting experiences. A lot of that stuff I really can't talk about. But what I can say that's kind of interesting from the inside is we're getting to use a lot of this technological advancement to build things faster and better and have a better visual understanding of how this thing's going to come together. Because back in the old, in the original days of like the, Walt Disney days of making the original Disneyland, the vision all had to be laid out in like drawings, concept drawings, blueprints, things like that, and little maquettes, little models. And those things took a long time to make. They were really hard to change, and it was difficult to get a real comprehensive understanding of like what that thing was going to look like. But now we can build like an entire theme park in 3D inside a virtual environment, put on
Yep.
some VR goggles, go inside and walk around this virtual environment as a guest would, and be able to say like, oh, when a guest's standing in this spot and they look that way, they can actually still see that hotel that is across the freeway and it's intruding into the visual space. So we need to put something up in the environment right there that's going to block that out to create full immersion. You
Hmm.
couldn't
Hmm.
do that in the past. So having those kind of tools allows us to like really up our game and to more quickly with like more agility and more precision design the exact experience that we're looking for. So the technology on
Yeah.
the inside of like making the thing is coming along and is really paving the way for us to be more nimble and to create experiences that we couldn't do before, because before it was kind of like, we had to do one of these things and
Yep.
take our best guess at what it was going to look like. But
Yeah.
now we can change things in the model real quickly, like, oh, try to put this thing there. Like, nope, don't really like that. Flip it around.
Hmm.
Yeah, that looks
Hmm.
pretty good, but maybe move it over there. Perfect. Go ahead and lock that, save it, send it to whoever needs to look at it to make sure that that gets built that way. So anyway, that's my answer. That's my long-winded kind of dodging the question because there's a lot of stuff that I can't talk about, but hopefully that was satisfying and interesting. What about you, Chris? What's your response to
Yeah, I'll
how
go ahead just
technology?
add on to it. Like for example, like 3D modeling, and this is exactly just picking off of what Michael said. I can put my experience into this when I was designing Buzz Lightyear, and I didn't have to like draw everything out, just doing like white models and everything. We actually used Maya, and in Maya we were able to see through the viewer's lens, just exactly what we saw today. We did it back then. We took up our camera POV and looked up and be like, oh no, that little mountain ridge is actually blocking the bot. People aren't able to shoot that bot if this little mountain range is in front of if it's located there. Therefore we had to like shift it over just a little bit so that, oh, okay, now we can see the target. And that 3D environment actually translates almost nearly close to one in the installation site, because everything is built on top of a blueprint, right? We take a blueprint and then we extrude everything up according to that blueprint. And just be fair, sometimes when the blueprint changes, that kind of like fucks everything up when the people don't tell us like, oh yeah, we changed it. Like, what? You changed it? It's like, when the hell did you guys change it? Anyways, that's just part of the industry when people don't communicate with us,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that model's not up to date anymore. It's like, what the fuck? What, so sometimes we have that issue, but in a perfect world, the blueprint never changes, right? And then we start extruding things up, and then everything is aligned accordingly, and then we have a set a path of, I mean, just like our game, like the rail path, right? And then once you do that, and then we can like just pinpoint and see exactly where we want to place our targets. And I think with technology, with Maya, and now with VR, because I know Michael explained a long time ago, maybe not, I forget, that VR, it definitely helps, being a lot more integrated in the environment. You don't just look it on the screen anymore, right? You don't look it on the flat screen. You're actually inside the environment, like looking around, like, oh, this is a really cool place that we designed. Or, now that we can say, oh, move that bot over to the left side, because now that we're walking in the environment, it's like, oh shit, we can't move it there because there's a pole there or something that's like a structural pole. I don't know. That's just like an example. So as technology gets better and better, I think the theme park industry, uh, people will have better tools to do things a lot faster. Is that a good thing? It's a good thing, but when you're doing things faster, so stuff usually happens, right? I think that's just the whole thing. Is like as technology gets better and better, our lives just moves at a much faster rate.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes, doing it slower, it might be good, but then they'll be like, well, we have the technology now. Let's just do it as fast as we can. It's like, well, shit. It's like I have to go to bed too. I need rest. I need to sleep. So there's good and bad. There's good and bad. Yeah. So hopefully
Totally.
that answers your questions, guys. And I did notice that it within our in the chat, I think I forgot to say it, that one of you guys actually said, "Oh, you see our." Who said that? Let me go up really quick. Someone said you guys see the theme park background in our game or something like that. I thought I saw something. Oh, Captain Blue says I can really see the theme park ride designer coming out from you when watching this. Yeah, exactly. Part of the reason why is because I had the experience of creating a ride, a real ride, using 3D, and then so creating this definitely helps, you know, you know, design the game and in a virtual reality, well, a video game, and not in real life, because in virtual reality, or in the video game, we actually don't have to worry about safety. We don't have to worry about budget. We don't have to worry about all this stuff we can't do in real life, right? So we have a lot more freedom here. But putting on the producer cap on, we have to be very mindful of what we want to include, because that freedom, it will take some time. We could create whatever we want, but that also takes a lot of time and energy. So yeah, it's always good to have that, mindset of, oh, this is cool, but we shouldn't do that. Blah blah blah. It's like keeping balance is the key. All right. Captain Blue says the crab. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Am I? Sorry, I'm a little bit lost right now. Is that why some of the
The
rides?
last question we took was from Dr. Pecker about where do you see the theme park industry going as technology gets better? I think that's
Ah,
where we're
there it
at in
is.
chat.
There it is. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you, Michael. I was like, where
Mhm.
is it? And then Captain Blue says the process has been really amazing. Thank you. Uh, Captain Blue asks, is that why some rides were designed to be for another movie franchise rather than the movie it was eventually was themed as? Wait,
Wait,
I
what?
don't understand.
Is that why some rides were designed to be for another movie franchise rather than the movie it was eventually themed as? I think what he's saying is that some rides were like originally designed to be themed as one type of IP, but then when it opened, it actually ended up being something else. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly, Captain Blue Blue?
Yeah. Can
Can you?
you clarify your question? Thank you
And
so
then we'll
much.
come back to it.
Yeah. Dr. Pecker says, what are the best and worst decisions you made while working in the industry?
Oof. Um, you want to go first, Chris?
I don't know if I want to answer that question, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Answering that honestly would get me in big trouble.
yeah, so I would say answer the best and not the worst.
Well, even that would get me into trouble.
Oh, geez.
But
All right.
I'll just talk around it and give the important part that I think's like the key takeaway for people in a similar position where they're like making creative decisions or whatever. Um, the and really, I don't know. It can kind of apply. I mean, this is going to be a total cop out answer. I'm sorry. Um, can really apply to either one because sometimes you're going to get it right, sometimes you're not. And that is you're going to be in situations where there, especially if you're working on a big project in like the theme park industry where the teams are huge, we're talking dozens, hundreds, thousands of people all working on the project. And you can have a lot of bureaucracy and hierarchy that's in the way between you if you're on the creative team and you're making creative decisions about like, ooh, here's how we can make this thing more awesome than it already is. um, the challenge is that you can have that little gem of an idea, but then you've got to pass that on to the next guy who's got to figure out like, okay, well, how do we afford to do this and in budget and schedule? Once that's figured out, then that's got to be handed to some other guy who then he needs to figure out like, okay, well, there's money and time for this, but how do I get this done with that budget and that time frame? And then he's got to hand it off to the next, so on and so forth, all the way down the line. So there's this long downstream effect of all these other people who are affected by any idea that you have, any decision that you can make, especially if you're on the creative team. So you have to be really cognizant of like, if we're going to make, especially, and I had to deal with this a lot, especially as a producer, because I'm the one who's managing that team of people, coming up with all these awesome ideas to like make things better. You have to strike this balance between encouraging them to make the product better because it makes the thing better, it makes everybody more excited about it, it's better for the guests, but at the same time you have to also keep them corralled in and under control to a certain degree, because if they just run amok, then you're never going to finish the project. It's going to run way over budget, it's going to run way over schedule, and it'll never open, and guests will never be able to actually go in there and go and see the work. So my best and worst decisions have fallen into that category where I've made decisions about, yes, this is a thing that is worth fighting for and saying, hey, we need to spend the money, we need to spend the time to do this thing. And it ends up being this really amazing thing that gets put into the attraction or the land or whatever it is and gets like added at the last minute, but it really makes it. And people who are involved love it. The guests love it. It's a thing that was like, man, that was a winner. Good job, everybody. I'm glad we pulled the slot machine arm on that one because it paid off. But there have been other times where I've made that same call, like, yep, this is the thing we need to do. And it ends up being a thing that blows up and causes all these problems, and we have to eventually either ditch it or it finally makes it into production and into installation, and it's there, but guests just don't like it, or it sucks, or so it's tough to make those decisions, especially in the theme park industry, because of that long pipeline I talked about. When Chris and I are doing something like in this video game, like we just try a thing, like, oh hey, does it look better that way? Like, oh okay, maybe not. Like Control Z, it's really easy. In the theme park industry, to actually like implement something, there's potentially like a year plus lead time because the thing that you want to add requires a steel armature that it needs to attach to and be bolted in such a way that it won't fall down on a guest, and the company that makes the steel has to actually procure it and fabricate it and get it approved through all this long engineering process that takes a minimum of 18 months. And so any changes you make have these like long shadows of effects on the project. And so making decisions in that kind of environment, absolutely, like there are many examples where I could say like, oh, this was the best decision, or this was the worst decision I made in that moment. I know this is a bit of a cop-out answer. I didn't give you anything super concrete, but hopefully that was interesting and helpful. So
I,
your
I,
turn,
I,
Chris.
I can answer for Michael, and this will totally get him in trouble. Is that the best
Fantastic.
decision? The best decision that he made
Oh,
was
here it
to
comes.
refer me
Damn.
into his team. And
Awesome.
the worst decision that he's made was that it took like 6 months for me to
Waited
actually
too
work with
long.
him.
Yeah. Good
So
answer, Chris.
yeah, thank you so much, Michael, for
Nailed
making
it.
the best decision ever. Yeah.
My
Um,
pleasure.
yeah. And truly it was because of Michael that actually got me the gig to go to Japan. Without his recommendation, without his referral, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to actually go to one of my favorite places in on this planet, was Japan. And so yeah, thank you so much, Michael, for being there and referring me and putting your trust in me so that people wouldn't say like, it's like, oh God, Michael, like he he referred to this horrible, person, Chris. He doesn't get his color boards done, blah blah blah. I'm glad that I was able to, you know, do a good job. And that was one of my fears, Michael, was that, me being there, I had you I was a reflection of you basically, because if I fucked up, that means you fucked up also, because you referred me, and so therefore, it's a transitional thing, right? So I
Yeah.
essentially had a lot of pressure to like do good in front of Michael's peers and superiors, and so that when people say, "Oh yeah, Chris, oh the guy who Michael referred to, oh yeah, he's great." That was my goal. That was what I wanted people to know, that oh yes, I Michael referred me, so therefore I need to work my ass off and make not only myself look good but also him look good as well. So that was one of my goals. And again, thank you so much, Michael, for just getting my ass to Japan, because that was one of the places where I always wanted to go but never had the opportunity, because I just don't have the opportunity to go there. I mean, unless it's work related
Sure.
stuff, right? So, but yeah, thank you, Michael.
And
Haha.
thank
Now,
you because you did a real bang up job on that project and made me look really good. Lots of people were really
good,
impressed. Like, oh wow,
good.
Michael, you brought Chris Lee in here. Oh, okay, cool. That definitely elevated me because I had the same
Yay!
anxiety. Anytime I
Uh,
refer
uh,
anybody, I'm like,
yeah,
please be awesome. Like, don't be
yeah,
a
don't,
recommendation that I put
yeah,
my neck out for and then you suck and then it like
yeah,
makes me look bad. Like, oh, don't listen to Michael's recommendations. And then
yeah,
that takes me down a peg. So, but
yeah,
in your case, you killed it. So
yeah,
good job, Chris, and thank
yeah,
you for making good on that team effort of me
yeah.
recommending and you performing.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. Because I've been in that opposite shoe where I actually recommended someone, and then, boy, they did
Oh
not
yeah,
do a
this
good.
guy's gonna be great. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it was not good. And I referred the person because that person was my friend slash classmate back in college, and so I assumed that that person would do a good job. But boy, did that person mm, failed. That person failed me. So that's why I vowed to myself never to let anyone down. To always do a good job no matter what. But anyways, moving on.
yeah,
Moving on. It's already 9:12. We'll go 15 more minutes, Michael, and then we'll call it a night. And maybe okay. Here's the thing. If there are other questions that we don't get to, we will save those questions for our next stream. How about that? Is that good?
good
All
idea.
right, all right,
Yep, that's
cool.
great.
Hold on, let
Oh,
me pull
I
up.
think Captain Blue Blue, we stepped away from his question. He confirmed that that's what he meant.
Hmm.
I think basically his question was like, when you start making an attraction that's intended for one IP and then it actually ends up opening with a different IP. I'll give a short answer to that, and feel free to jump in or add on to it, Chris.
Sure.
Um, but IP licensing is pretty complicated, and within the industry, unless you're working for a company that's like Disney, who straight out, owns a lot of the IP,
Everything.
and even in that case, because like when Disney acquired like Marvel, there were already a bunch of pre-existing deals with all these other companies. So even if Disney wants to make a Marvel thing, even that can be kind of complicated. Um, but yeah, the short version is that IP licensing is pretty complicated, and so sometimes you start making a thing and you've got a deal that's in that's all in order, and then something happens and it falls apart, and you've already spent X number of millions of dollars or years on the project. It's like, hey, this thing's opening in 18 months. Like, what are we gonna? We can't just stop now. So then maybe something gets flipped around and it changes from property A to property B. Sometimes that happens.
Nice. I have nothing to add to that because I don't have a lot of experience in that area. So thank you, Michael, for answering that. Yeah,
My pleasure.
nice. Hold on. I'm getting lost in the questions. I'm so bad at this. I said what decision are best? Okay. Captain Blue Blue says safety for cotton candy peasants. Psst. That's right.
That sounds like somebody who's played Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Uh, Well, I've never played that. Is that a reference to Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Well, not a direct reference, but just like that kind of casual disregard for theme park guests. Because in Roller Coaster Tycoon, you get to play like, you're basically playing God as a
uh-huh,
theme
uh-huh.
park builder, and so you can create a roller coaster that it has an incomplete track, so it just
Oh, jeez.
fires the train out into the void and then
Oh,
crashes and kills all
shit.
the guests on board. So
Oh,
like, yeah, there's just no concern for safety. It's like, oh, if it's
yeah.
fun. But anyway, sorry.
Uh, Dr. Pecker also says you don't have to answer. Oh, that's regarding the worst and best decisions. I don't want to get anyone in trouble in here. No, that's a really good question. It's just it's kind of hard for us to answer on live television or not television on live stream. Heaven Blue says it must be very strange to go from a creative environment where you aren't too allowed to talk about anything to here when everything is on display. Yeah, and that's the that's the like breath of fresh fracking air, man, that we can do whatever the frack we want. It's like
Yeah.
freedom, and we can show you the progress and process of how we do things, and we can bitch and moan about technical issues and knowledge insufficiency from myself, and just the fact that we're able to share with you guys, it's a huge difference because obviously when I was working at Disney, people from my hometown or from my church, they're like asking, "Oh, what have you been up to? Oh, you're designing a ride. What kind of ride?" I can't say. If I say, the mouse will kill you. It's like it's just we're very very compartmentalized because we can't just say anything that we want. But here we could do whatever we want. Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, that's a really insightful observation, Captain Blue Blue, because that was a really big deal for both of us. When we first started working together, like 9 months ago, or 6 months ago, however long it was, um, I think because we come from the theme park industry where you don't talk about what you're working on, like until the thing opens, and even then you can only talk about what has been like as part of the press release documentation. You can't talk about the really amazing dramatic story of how that thing actually came to be.
Yeah.
Um, when we first started doing this project, we were doing the same thing. We were like, okay, we got to keep it a secret. We can't tell anybody what we're working on until it's ready. And we're continuing to do that until at some point it just became obvious to us that outside of the theme park industry, and given the way the world has changed and the way that the world responds to creators and to creative content, and the way to get the word out there about what you're working on and to connect with the audience, this just made the most sense to us. And so it was a really big change, a really big shift in gears and in thinking, and um, it really it's both exciting and scary,
Hmm.
especially for me. Like, it's really cool, but it's also like, man, I hope everybody's okay with seeing my chicken scratch homework and when things don't look very good, because sometimes it's not pretty. But yes, it's way different and it's really exciting and a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. So, good point. Very insightful observation.
Yeah, there was a project that I was on. I'm not going to say what it is, but in order for me to do something to accomplish an objective, I needed more information. However, our client company uh, would not provide the things that I needed in order to visually draw what I needed to draw in order to communicate the idea that they wanted, or that they needed. And then so luckily, and not so luckily for them, but luckily for me, stuff got leaked online. And then I'm like, oh, so that's what it looks like. Cool. Let me go ahead and take it and let me just draw out the thing that I needed in order for you to show exactly what it needs to be done because they weren't giving me any information. And I couldn't do my job. But around that time, I believe, like 2, 3, 4 weeks later, this leak happened, and I'm like, oh, interesting. The thing that I needed got leaked. Weird. I mean, it wasn't
How
directly what I
convenient.
needed. it wasn't it sounds so sus right now, but it wasn't exactly what I needed, but it was at least it was something because I was asking for some visual things to look at in order to draw something, but they would say, no, we don't want to show it, even our internal team anything at all because we're afraid of leaks. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I can't really do a visual job that's good then. But then a few months later on, it leaked, and then I was like, oh, cool. I'll just take that, what's already leaked, and then draw what I need. And then I got my shit done. It was awesome. But unfortunately, yeah, it was awful the way I that happened. But anyways, yes, it's very very close uh lipped where we come from. Dr. Pecker says, was there a career setback you faced and later realized was actually an advantage? Man, these are really good questions. Also, don't have to answer if you can't disclose anything. Was there a career setback you faced and later realized was actually an advantage?
Um, I can answer that, or
Uh-huh.
I have an answer for that.
Oh,
Definitely
sure. Go
jump
ahead.
in
Go ahead. Yeah.
with your answer too, Chris. But really early on, when I was in college, I applied for an internship at a local video game company that was near my college, and I got it. And I went to work for them, and it was pretty cool. It was like my very first sort of like real career entry point, because prior to that I had just been working like retail jobs to pay my way through college. But anyway, so I was on the like game design team, and it was cool, but like my social skills really sucked, and I was kind of sensitive about the content that I was working on, and I got pretty frightened. I was just like really, I got cold feet. I got real uncomfortable, and I bailed. I was like, "Hey guys, I don't think this is a good fit for me." And they were really bummed because they were like, "Oh man, we think you're a great fit. Like, oh, is there anything we could do? Like, the thing you're working on, like maybe we can have you work on a different project." And I just bounced. I was like, "Nope, nope. I got to get out of here." And I really regretted that because looking back, I think it was a really cool team, and something great could have happened there. But uh, my takeaway from that, because if I didn't do that, then I never would have gotten to the theme park industry, never would have met Chris, never would have been here talking with all you lovely people. Um, but so that was like the setbacks that actually ended up being an advantage later, is because I was able to grow from that and learn that that sort of like sensitivity to the creative content that I'm working on is not something that I should like it's something that I should respect. It's not something that I should push down in order to like, oh, well, it's a good job. Like I got to just make sure that I do it. It's something that I think if it really resonates and speaks to you in such a way that you're like, I cannot do this because I am either uncomfortable with it or I'm not passionate about it. Um, I think it's really important to have the cojones to say so, both to move away from things that you can't defend creatively or can't be a creative champion of, and to move towards things that even if you're moving towards a fight or towards adversity, to say like, I believe in this thing creatively, so I'm going to go after this and do this thing. um, because leaving that job taught me that lesson, that like, man, that sucked and that kind of blew up in my face, and I beat myself up for it for a really long time, but eventually I kind of came around to the idea of like, well, but you were not comfortable with that thing. You could not have been the appropriate person to champion the design for that creatively. Um, and so I've tried really hard to be mindful of that since then on any project that I'm working on, and to join teams and to accept projects that I am in the position of saying like, I care about this creatively, like Super Nintendo World, which is the last project that I worked on in the theme park industry. I care a lot about. Like, Nintendo was really important to me as a kid, really
Mhm.
changed my life. I would go so far as to say saved my life, because I've had like a lot of problems with depression as a kid, and just being really messed up and not having like any interest in continuing to exist on this planet and to continue to do and to progress and become an adult, and being able to escape into the worlds of Metroid and Super Mario and the Smash Brothers games, and the way they kind of like helped me build friendships meant an awful lot to me.
Mm.
So not to get like too rambly and personal, even though I've kind of already done that. There are moments like that where something happens that feels like this big setback, but it's really this moment that's teaching you to connect more with like your authentic self. At least that's
Mhm.
the lesson that I'm trying to take away from that. So there you go. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, that was awesome, Michael. And for me, I'll just keep it as short as possible. I would say that one of my big career setbacks that I faced, that I think I faced, was essentially me ending my career at Disney. Because I mean, stopping working at Disney, I think that could be considered a career setback, right? And I won't get into too detailed as to why I left, but um, is I sometimes ask myself, is that the right decision to make? And that two hardest decisions that I've made that I'll let you guys know. One was to leave Disney, and two was to call my the what engagement off to my fiance. Two biggest things, right? And I would say, looking back at it right now, I would probably say yes, in that both of those decisions were very, very difficult. And like how Michael says, you got to have the what's the word you use, cojones, to take control of your life and to leave it. It feels like a setback, but I could not. I didn't want to allow myself to be in that kind of environment anymore. So therefore, I left and started my own journey. And now that I'm here, because I left Disney, I was able to go to Japan. I was able to work with other various companies. So that itself had a big advantage of meeting other people and not just staying where you would think it would be very comfortable, be at one place at Disney. Oh, Disney is awesome, but there are other places out there to work at as well. uh One day I'll definitely go into it without getting into trouble with making people look bad or and whatever. But there are aspects of working at a big company that I really want you guys to go in with your eyes both opened, that there are some advantages and disadvantages, right? And then so from my point of view, leaving Disney was a huge setback, but looking back at it, it's something that I needed to do in order to have control of my own destiny. Because being there, my life wasn't controlled by me. It was being controlled by a group of people that, you know, they make the decisions, but they may not make your decision based on what I do. It's just, it's very arbitrary, and then so I don't feel like I had control in progressing my career going up. So therefore, I had to take control and do my own thing and start my own company, work with various other companies, go to Japan, like I always said, with Michael, and now I'm creating a video game, and hopefully this will be a start of a beautiful journey, an epic story tale of how our game developed, how the Creative Tavern was came to being, right? So yeah, hopefully does that make sense at all, Michael? Hopefully that's not too hard to follow. I'm
Yeah, that
sorry.
was
Yeah,
very well said.
yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah, sweet. Great question, man. Great question. What are your strength and weaknesses? Well, we could totally dive into that later next time. Yeah. That is
There
the
you go.
last question for me. I will ask more next time. Next time, give us a little bit of time to uh, think about it. And I definitely have a lot of weaknesses. I have some strengths. Let me think about it, and then we'll get back to you. Captain Blue says, "I love Roller Coaster Tycoon." That is awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
knew it.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so thank you guys so much again for being here. Captain Boo Boo, Dr. Pecker, Heavy, Judy, if you're still in here, you guys have made this stream very awesome. And I apologize for all the technical difficulties that I'm having tonight. But all that shit doesn't matter. It's all about, hanging out with you guys. It's about, doing the work itself, right? I mean, I always want to like, oh, we want it to look good, but and honestly, who gives a shit? It's all about the game. It's all about talking with you guys. We could have technical issues all the time. Doesn't matter. It kills the momentum, but we'll pick it back up. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, if you guys can, go ahead and follow all our social media platforms. Make sure to join our Discord. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as please follow myself as well as Michael. With all the various links below that I'm typing down right there, go ahead and give us a like. And for myself, please, if you guys can, go to my YouTube channel, the Lead Design Studio YouTube channel, and I'm trying to get 100 subscribers so that I could have my own custom URL. For those of you guys who have already done that, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And if you guys also like pin designs and all that cool stuff, here are some of the pins that I've designed and is on Kickstarter right now. So if you guys are into steampunk or Sailor Moon, feel free to go up there and check that out. And you can find me on twitch.tv/Lead Design Studio. And yeah, I hope to see you guys there. Michael, where can they find you, sir?
So I also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/mlwelker, but it's not up and running yet, but will be very soon. I'm planning to get that going probably in the next week or definitely in June. So June's coming up pretty quick here. If you also like listen to me talk about story stuff and that's really interesting to you, I've got a book, Blockbuster Blueprint, which is available on Amazon.com. I also have another book that I'm working on, a book about creativity that hopefully will be out later this year. Yeah, so those are the places you can find me. I'm also on Twitter at mlwelker, though I don't really tweet very much, really at all. I think my last tweet is from like 5 years ago or something. But I'm working on getting a little bit more involved. But for now,
Nice.
the best place to catch me is right here on the Creative Tavern every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Thank you so much, Michael. And last question from Captain Blue Blue. What will you stream about, Michael?
Oh, good question. Part of the reason I'm not streaming actively right now is because I'm still trying to figure that out. But it's probably going to be some combination of a few similar things to what we talk about here, maybe some theme park stuff. But also, I'd like to get a little bit more into storytelling and writing, maybe even computer programming stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm probably going to do like a book club
Nice.
to talk, like, kind of work through either or nonfiction books that I'm reading that I think are really interesting, but also I'd really like to do like a series all about Michael Crichton's books because he is like one of my big heroes and one of my favorite authors, and I think it'd be really cool to do like a series where we kind of just do a book club of all the Michael Crichton books.
Nice.
So I'm working on that, but stay tuned for more details about exactly what you might expect to see.
Very
Might also
cool.
play some video games and do video game appreciation. I don't
Mm.
know. I've got a lot, a lot of interests.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And yeah, Michael, you could totally do everything and anything on your stream. You are the content creator. You could do whatever you want on your stream. So yeah. Captain
hell
Blue said
yeah,
that sounds awesome. Please, can we discuss the Lost World book versus movie?
versus the movie. Yes, absolutely.
Nice, nice. Well, okay, cool. Thank you guys again so much for being here. Captain Blue Blue, I know it's super late for you over there, so please get some rest. I really, really appreciate, we both really, really appreciate you being here and giving us your input and asking the questions. So thank you so much, guys. Dr. Pecker, really appreciate it. And Heavy, if you're still in here, thank you so much again. And for those of you guys still watching, make sure you please follow so that we can all congregate again and have a beer together. Yay! All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Cheers, everybody. See ya.
Cheers. See ya. And you guys get to hear us. And right now we're going to go ahead and raid one of our friends or one of my
Ooh.
friends from my channel. It's Marie. She, excuse me, she does art. And so we're going to go ahead and rate her right now. and I'm not sure if I actually executed that correctly. Let me do that one more time, guys. Raid and Marie. It's not working. Why is it not working? Did I not do her thing correctly?
I don't know. I'm in the Creative Tavern Twitch stream.
Yeah,
It's still live.
yeah. So let me do this really quick. Sorry guys, I'm trying to bring us into the thing, but it's not letting me do it. I have to actually go into our creator dashboard and then do this, copy. Thank you guys so much for being here and being patient. Being patient. Ah, crap. All right, so that's not gonna work because that's login to my. Well, shoot.
Is it not working?
It's not working. What the hell, man?
It's just one of those days. The
Yeah,
technology
it
refused to
it
back down.
really it really really is. What just I mean, honestly, it's just one of those days that nothing wants to work at all. Maybe if I go to the Twitch TV Tavern and if I do this raid. Oh, yes,
Oh, there it
finally.
goes.
Yay. All right, we'll be raiding her and hopefully she can see us.
Do this
All right.
composition.
Bye
What is
guys.
this
Take care.
character